time for Type 40 Live, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show here across your view screen on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. There it is. Joined together with you, a live chat full of fellow friends, fans, and companions just like you. And wherever you came in with Doctor Who, there'll be something to send your time rotor spinning, I've no doubt. We're getting carried away once again as we head back into the Whoniverse for a big old news catch-up. Explosive, explicit, and excruciating. Somebody stop him. Chris is at it again. And are more stars pointing the way to Christmas? DT20 has arrived, it seems. Wake up and warm up. It's Type 40 Live, the Big Who. Good to be home. Good to be home and ramping it up again for another live stream. Had a nice break, sort of. Well, it's kind of a break for Easter, wasn't it? A sort of Doctor Who-ish break. But back to the coalface for more of this. Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and we'll find out who you are in a moment or two as well in the live chat, because of course it wouldn't be the same without you guys, would it? And your contributions, your thoughts, whatever's on your mind about all of this we're going to talk about, and anything else too. Let it fly in the nicest possible way. Yeah, let it fly. Yes, could you get a good run up this ramp? That's what I've been wondering, because they ditched it pretty quickly, didn't they? Could your feet get caught on something? You go flying up and catch your chin. Yeah, you wouldn't want to catch your chin on that grating. Definitely not. Okay, so we have a panel to bring on to, made up of the usual sort of bad wolves and good eggs. But you get to decide which is which. I decide who gets brought on first, and usually it depends on who's decent and who isn't. I think, I'll play it safe. And I'll go for Charlotte Shields. Oh my God, what have I said? What have I said now?
Well, you said play it safe, so I suppose that means I'm the safe one.
It's okay, is it? It's good to see you. You okay?
Yeah, after all the trains from Manchester decided to be cancelled on my way back from work, today. So I had the fun of phoning up my brother to be like, can you help me?
Were you turning the air blue on the platform?
A little bit, yeah.
There you go, folks. Excellent stuff. Well, it's going to get a bit more plain sailing from here. We've got a few stops of our own to make, possibly a few delays. You know what it's like, but it wouldn't be the same without you. It's great to have you back, Charlotte. And
Thank you.
What do you make of this? The little details of the TARDIS set. I do love all this stuff in those nooks and crannies and corners and under things and over things, in between things that we usually, the camera's moving so fast that we don't get a chance to sort of sit and stare at it for very long.
Yeah, that's why I always love the episodes when they would sort of show the mechanic side of it underneath that grating. It's one of the reasons why that scene when they're in Parallel Earth, or when Tennant is sort of underneath it all and he's got he's got his wires everywhere. That scene just sticks with me, because I think because a lot of that TARDIS was so natural design, it was then nice to see even though it had the coral and the other bits, it was quite sort of grubby and mechanical, and all of that side of it underneath it. And I thought, oh, that's good. And the lighting was gorgeous in that shot as well, because it was quite dark. So you had the lights. I always imagined
that somewhere underneath all of that, he's probably got a box like I've got with loads of old USB cables, various cables from various phones that I've had over the years that are just sort of jammed in there, and also plugs and amps. And various fuses,
screws. Random screws,
all that sort of stuff.
Know where you got them from.
That we keep it because it may come in handy, Charlotte. That's my excuse. I wonder if Gary Akers, the retro doc, has such a box either about his person or in his abode. Let's find out.
Wait, a box of what?
A box of nuts and bolts and knickknacks, and bits and pieces and.
I have a drawer.
He's got a drawer. Oh, that's a bit.
I'm not a tinkerer. It's like I just kind of keep my fingers crossed that I'm never going to need to kind of pick up a screwdriver for anything.
Oh, you
You're not a
disappoint me,
tinkerer.
Gary.
I am not a natural tinkerer myself, but I have learned the hard way. I learned the ways of the Force from my elders. So yeah, I never cast anything aside. But the truth of the matter is, I bet if I traded some of it in, I'd probably get a decent sort of weight on a weighbridge for. I've got that much of it now, old junk. But what I really like about this is you can just about make out there the hat stand, the Peter Davison era hat stand, sat just leisurely against the one corner, but not obviously it's
That's
not bright
right.
white. It's in a brown, but it's definitely the same hat stand. I love little things like that, Gary.
Oh, any little subtle callbacks. This was never, I don't know. This was I didn't love this interior as much as I loved Matt's or Capaldi's interior, but it just never kind of spoke to me. But kind of like Charlotte, I did like when they kind of explored the depths that we weren't seeing. I always wanted to know, like, if they would go off into the side rooms. I always wanted to kind of follow them into the side rooms and kind of go deeper in.
Our imaginations. But if you didn't love it then, you may love it. You may start to love it now, particularly when we bring in the other panelists. He's dressed to match, I think. I'm not quite sure which team the scarf represents, but I know that in short order, David Milling will furnish us with some answers. Hi, David.
There you go. I've twisted it. Hello, everybody. Mighty Lincoln City FC. There you go. From the scarf that was bought 34 years ago, because we are now promoted to the second tier of the English football pyramid. For the first time, we'll be playing there for 65 years. So pre-Doctor Who, pre-JFK being assassinated, pre-Sidney Newman and Verity Lambert even being at the BBC. So that's before the Beatles. So it's amazing for us because we were promoted a couple of weeks ago, and we did it on a very Doctor Who like way, on a shoestring budget. On a shoestring budget. So we just went for players that wanted to play for a purpose and not really get paid a lot. And we went for quality, not lots of money. So, and it also helps that we've won 20 out of our last 25 games. We've won 20 and drawn 5.
Do it, David. That would do it.
We've obliterated Cardiff in our wake, who our other panelists supports. But one thing I wanted to ask Charlotte, I do the safe option, but are you decent? That's the thing, because Dan said he was hoping that we're all decent. So I feel decent.
That can be for the chat to decide.
Okay. Gary looks very decent, can I have to say, Gary? You look
as long as I look it, that's really all that.
Okay, and Dan's as decent as ever.
Well, can't speak,
I'm not
can't
sure.
lie. Good to have you back with us, David. We've got one more panelist to bring on. He is also festooned with colour, and I'm not quite sure which team this represents, but I'd say that Luke Walters will let us know. Here he is.
Hey, come on, guys. Hey, yes, guys. Smiling all over the place. I feel David's having a slight dig at Wrexham there, never mind Cardiff.
Oh, yeah, we are as well. Langdon Donovan, who is a very famous US footballer for LA Galaxy, is one of our ambassadors in the US. And he had a right dig at Wrexham in a podcast that he did. So he's like the David Beckham of US football, if you get what I'm saying, Dan. As a brief
I have no idea what you're talking about, but
Charlotte understands anyway.
If you're happy, I'm happy, mate. Luke, it's great to have you back as well, mate. Going mad for it. That's a bit of a flashback to the 90s for me, to sort of house music and that kind of era. But that's before your time, so I can't think why you're wearing it. Is it part of? Are you trying? Don't tell me you've ditched your Welsh roots and you're going native now. You're in Manchester.
No, it's just a hoodie. It's just a really warm hoodie, and because my bedroom's quite cold. So
he's off to the hacienda.
Yeah. Hello, everyone in the chat. Yeah, no, it's quite cold here in Manchester. The trains are running fine. I don't know what Charlotte's on about, really. She's just
No,
making excuses.
none of the trains are coming out of Manchester, Luke. That's the problem.
Why would you want to leave Manchester? That's
Exactly,
the thing. Why would anybody
exactly. So
want
that's
to-
why the trains. I'm That's pretty much it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good. Love this console room, but I think this is my first console room, and always have a fun place in my heart. This one.
Yeah, I mean, why would you want to leave Manchester, Luke? And to be fair, why would you want to leave 2006? I think the BBC they've signed on with that sort of feeling, because all this week it's been like major revival here for David Tennant, Billy Piper, Camille Coduri, everything associated with Series 2. All of the official social media accounts were altered suddenly overnight. This is pretty much unheard of in modern media, because you're damaging your brand, you're compromising your IP. So had you noticed this, Luke? Have you got flashes of nostalgia from when you were but a lad?
Yeah, and I saw everyone blow up completely over it, and I was
Really?
like, yeah, people were like, oh my god, this is
good way?
definitely confirming that this is going to be a sequel to Doomsday, and Luke Spillane come out and just shit all over it straight away and was like, no, it's just a bit of fun. And they were like, well, why
Remind
do you do
us,
this?
Luke, who is Luke Spillane?
I think he's head of like digital fandom for the BBC, especially
Correct.
for Doctor Who. Yeah, but they were like, "Oh well, why didn't you do this last year for the revival and 20 years of the revival?" And they were like, "Well, Series 2 was coming out, and it was bad form to change everything around the same time. So, and they just did this for a bit of fun, and it was cool. It was nostalgic just to see. Surprised they got the taxi logo to fit in a circle. To be fair, I was like, that was a stretch and a half. Jeez."
Yeah, some good work there.
I thought this is a nice touch. Yeah, you could say that to the naked eye, you think, well, it's 20 years of one actor joining, but I suppose when it's that actor that so many people remember so fondly and that we can't seem to shake off, maybe that's part of it. But yeah, people have been sort of putting two and two together and coming up with six, I feel, Charlotte. But with the amount of speculation anyway, in this instance, I can't say I blame them.
Well, yes, and also they have before used like changes in the social media as part of the marketing. They did that with Jodie's, I think, the Flux season. Like they started to breadcrumb the whole sort of cracks and the universe not being right and that idea on the socials. And like you said, the biggest rumour right now is that we're going to get a Tennant comeback. We're going to get a big sort of love sort of a letter to Rose and Ten, and sort of go for that sort of audience. So I can see why people thought this was a bit of a hint, if I'm being perfectly honest, because they've been so obvious with some of the sort of love for Billy and Tennant. So why not do this to be another hint?
It's not as if they've been inseparable for the last 12 months, but it sort of started with this Unleashed special, I feel, David. And they've been at various conventions together since. And it's almost as if the less that they say, the more that people believe it. It's a strange thing, isn't it? Is it just the fact that people are starved? The Whoniverse has been sort of starved of oxygen.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's silly. It's silly season, and people just want to speculate. You know, his favorite. I think his favorite at the book is to come back again. The thing is, I don't really think it's a rumor. I think it's just an expectation that people have already written the Christmas special in their head, that it's going to be the Doctor and Billy. And I would laugh if it was just set on the planet Clom with the Absorbal off and be a sequel to that. And
Love and Monsters, love that. Yeah,
absolutely. Just a Love and Monsters callback. And then, the Doctor turns up, whomever the Doctor may be, and then sort of like trips into another regeneration. And there we go. That's the end of it. And of course, that won't happen. But I do honestly feel that we, in our heads, we have written what's going to happen, and we are expecting to see that it will be David and Billy. And I'm wondering if there would be an outcry. Obviously, some people just don't want to engage. But for the people
Yeah.
who are engaging in this, I wonder if there'd be a sort of like a real sort of almost a depression, if a deflation, if it turns out that he's not going to be involved and we're going to go somewhere else. And the pen of Russell is going to take us somewhere completely different. But the no news, the no news thing is just allowing people to speculate in silly season, and I'm sure
this does tend to happen across fandoms, David.
Yeah.
What happens is that people see, for example, that a particular actress has been cast in the next Superman movie, and even though nobody associated with said Superman movie has mentioned anything about Wonder Woman being in it, they assume that that person is therefore playing Wonder Woman with no weight to it whatsoever. And then eventually, when it sort of gets announced that that actress isn't playing Wonder Woman, they lose their temper with the filmmakers, even if the filmmakers have never actually said anything. It's all been in their heads. The 10th Doctor and Rose Tyler have sort of lived, not if our heads, more so our hearts, I think, for the last 20 years. That season was incredibly important, not just to Doctor Who, but to BBC One as a whole, the BBC, and to popular culture as well. Doctor Who was never bigger, and Billy Piper never looked hotter than in New Earth. I don't think that aired 20 years ago this week. I've never been a huge fan of New Earth, but the relief, I think, I'll never forget the relief. It's sinking in that everything was going to be okay, because I didn't initially like David Tennant, but as it was sort of rolling out, I thought, oh no, he can do this. This will be fine, because we saw flashes of him in the Christmas Invasion, and it sort of wasn't enough. And think, okay, this guy's got range. This could go. This could really go somewhere. And before you know it, we're back in 2006, Charlotte. They've even emblazoned the logo everywhere. Look.
Yeah, no, I think New Earth, what they did really cleverly in that episode was you sort of had the camp, you had Tennant doing the whole when Cassandra was pretending to be him, so that was quite over the top. But that bit when Cassandra goes into Rose and he gets really angry and he's like, you get out of her now, there you could see, no, he can do dark. He can do that sort of, I wouldn't want to cross you feeling that I think all Doctors need to show in their runs to sort of, like you say, make people go, oh, I feel a bit more comfortable now with this actor.
It's a slow burn, I think, over a 13-week period, or at least it was. 13 episodes a year, Gary. It seems like so long ago. We were so carefree back then, weren't we? And so were they, come to think of it. All they had to think about was to entertain as many people as they possibly could. Where did it all go so wrong? But on the other hand, isn't it nice to go back to some of these things and to see brand new images too, like the ones that have turned up on social media? These have been released by the BBC this week, unseen photographs from 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I love to see, whether it's from the classic era or the new era, like pictures we haven't seen before. That's great, because it makes it feel almost new in a way, because it feels like we're getting kind of like new information about, even if it's about a previous era. And I did like Tennant while he was on. I mean, I had problems with the Tennant Rose dynamic that season, but it's nice to revisit it, because they did have a lot of really strong episodes in that season.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I found out that there was somebody who was the head of digital fandom. That was actually their job, Luke. It's something that when you read it back, you think, really? How many hours a week can they possibly work? But to be fair to Luke Spillane, he has been there quite a long time, and he evidently is one of us. Maybe he's picked up on some of these things that we're all talking about. I think that's probably likely, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Doctor Who fans like to celebrate anything, any anniversary. So why not do the Doctor that will never ever leave? I don't want to go.
That's right.
He
doesn't have to worry about not going.
No, he's never left, has he? I don't want to go. Then he's back. Then he's back in the 50th. Then he's back for the 60th. Then he's back for this. Then he's back for that. Then he's popping up in the Muppets. And then the guy just doesn't. He just should have stayed, shouldn't he? It's like, yeah. But yeah, no, Doctor Who, and it is like, as you said, this was massive for the BBC. This was such a swing after such a strong first season. It's probably a weaker season overall than season.
I think
We're
it
not
probably
American.
is.
We're not American, Gary. Series 1. It's it's a little bit weaker, but the Tenant Doctor just hits the ground running, considering we had like so much less of him in the Christmas Invasion. Just to see him hit his stride, especially when you get to like school reunion and you get Sarah Jane, and it's like, oh, straight away. I think overall you got some really, really strong episodes in this series.
I think the fact
really
that his physicality is so different as well, and he bounds around this console room, David. I mean, Billie Piper says that she nicknamed him Bambi because of how he would sort of dance and jump and skip, and whereas Christopher Eccleston would sort of hunker down over it, wouldn't he, and sort of grimace. And now and again, you get a sort of flash of a smile, but generally he's really quite an intense character. It's sort of in a way the first Doctor was, so it was radically different. And I think it brought something, I suppose, to the series, which I wouldn't say desperately needed at the time. But when you lose your leading man like that, you've got to be really confident, or at least display confidence, even if you're kind of supporting the actor behind the scenes. Like anybody would need support in a new role, wouldn't they? Particularly one you've watched since you were a kid.
Sorry, but they didn't get rid of him. They sacked him. They didn't lose him. They got rid of the bastard. Sorry.
But the thing is, Chris Eccleston used to sort of bend over the console like he got trapped wind, and David Tennant used to run around it like he was letting it all fly out. But it's interesting what Luke was saying. What Luke was saying about he thought season 1 was stronger. This is the beautiful nature of Doctor Who fandom. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think season 2 was series 2 was far stronger than series 1. The run of episodes from Tooth and Claw all the way through the Cyberman, the girl in the fireplace, the Cyberman double-parter, the beautiful thing with Mickey taking over the position of Ricky and his nan, who was alive in that universe, and all heading to the wonderful sort of culmination and suspense of Doomsday. And I was at work for the last episode, and we were working that day, and the whole office was full of hairy-ass chaps who wanted to watch England ultimately lose on a penalty shootout to Portugal, I believe it was, in the World Cup. And all of these people, because Doctor Who was obviously was what am I trying to say? The word beginning with P. That was to it. Was on before it, preceded it. That's it. And there was 20-odd hairy-ass blokes watching the knackered old telly in the corner, crying when Rose was leaving the Doctor. And the amount of engagement from people who you wouldn't have expected to like Doctor Who was so invested in it in that second season. It was unbelievable. It became absolute appointment, must-watch TV. And then about 2.5 hours later, they were crying at England losing in the football, which was hilarious. But that for me, Caesar at Series 2, I feel was his second best season to the one with Catherine Tate, season 4. I really thought it was really, really strong.
You've just brought back some memories. You've just brought back some memories for me there of watching that football match as well that evening. And I remember how emotional it all was. It was a blisteringly hot day as well, Luke. Yeah. It's not often I go and watch a football match, but everybody's getting tanked up. It seemed like, for some reason, I can't remember why it was important. It must have been important for me to have been watching it, but I was out with my friends. I think I either raced back home to see Doctor Who or left Doctor Who to go to the pub, or there was some sort of running, dashing around going on. I can't quite remember what it was. But the fact that I remember it was a very, very blisteringly hot day. And I remember enjoying several cold lagers to wash away the pain.
yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't care about football. Really, I'm Welsh. I like rugby. And in 2006, Wales were getting tumped in the rugby as well. So
Rugby is where it's at.
what a normal conversation for me to have.
Well, if Wales aren't on the comeback train, maybe the Doctor and Rose are. Could that be who's going to be leading the Christmas special, which we still haven't heard much about? We've got a comment here from Toon Army in the live chat. Evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Any news about the Christmas special filming? Because they're running out of time for a new showrunner for the next series. Well, there's a lot going on, Toon Army. We'll come to some of that a little later on, because we have heard things, we do know things, but there's a lot of assumptions again being made by the fandom in regards to this precise matter. So what I can tell you for now is that the Doctor Who Christmas special was due to be filmed originally over a 2-month period between March and into this month, into April. Filming has been postponed. So if you can take it that if they were due to commence filming at a particular time, filming, not production, filming, then one can also assume by that every other aspect of the production was, and likely still is, in place. There's more coming up if you stick with Type 40 Live here. And we'll drop it out when we can. Good evening from an overcast but dry Wigan, says Stephen O'Neill. And Stephen says, I see BBC Three are showing Day of the Doctor this Saturday, then the following Saturday, Time of the Doctor, even though it was only just shown last Christmas. See, they can't get enough of the Doctor Who repeats. They're absolutely everywhere, all over BBC Three, all over the Eden channel, whilst people sort of bide their time, really. Whether it will keep Doctor Who, any of this, the 2006 sort of revival gimmick, whether any of this will keep Doctor Who in the forefront of anybody's minds, apart from us, between now and Christmas, I wouldn't like to guess. But obviously, let us know what you think. And when you booted up your smartphone that day and checked all the socials, were you rubbing your eyes when you saw the taxi? We used to call this the London taxi logo back in the day, but some people call it the surfboard logo now. But when you saw that sort of beaming out of you there, I think this is actually aged. For a time, it looked incredibly dated, but now I think it's an old friend. But let us know what you think, of course. It's also 20 years of Torchwood this year. How could we possibly forget that? The spin-off series that people love to hate. Oh, no, that's probably Class, isn't it? One of the spin-offs that people love to hate. Now, this is following on from a story we brought you a few weeks ago. Do you remember that Yanto's Shrine, Luke, down in Cardiff Bay, is under threat? My friend, after 16, 17 years, the Mermaid Key, who own that sort of development, we're only talking about tearing it down. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember very well. What a day that was. He got so much publicity, didn't he? Bless him.
I thought Luke was going to go chain himself to the fence to keep it from being torn down.
I was going to, but none of the trains were leaving Manchester, so I got stuck here.
Well, in true Doctor Who fashion, I mean, we started with a tribute, with a shrine to Yanto. We'll end up having a shrine to the shrine. It strikes me. So this is the current installation, which, as I understand it, is being taken down as we speak, painstakingly and lovingly. Each item removed and placed into storage, one recycle bin or another. Now, I'm sure they're being genuine about this. It's going to be given a new home somewhere. It's going to be looked after. We're assured. But if all of this is going, then what is going to be in its place and be replacing this fabulous plaque that's been there for a long time now? Yanto Jones, Torchwood 3, gave his life in defence of the children of this planet, and the management of Mermaid Key salute you. At least for a few years, anyway. So, what will be in its place for all the tourists who go there? Because people do still flock to this place. You do see fans logging in from all over the world. And close your eyes, everybody. Should we have a drum roll for this? Do you want to see the new plaque that's going to be replacing that?
All sound effects.
There we are.
Fantastic.
Where is it?
Oh, they haven't said that yet. They just say it's going to be it's going to be roughly in the same place. But they've shown us the plaque, Charlotte. They've shown us the plaque.
Oh, God.
They're getting a bench. I think they're getting a bench put in down there.
So the plaque
it's
could be
a
on.
You can
plaque.
shit on it?
It's a plaque. Oh, they're going to replace it with a mural of the Triarchy male voice choir, I believe.
Hey, and Max voice.
Yeah.
Oh. Don't tempt me to sing again on stream because I will. I
But
will.
no, do you know the detail I love though? It's that first bit, fictional character. It's like, let's make sure people understand this isn't for a real person.
Understand that this is not real.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what that's for, and I love that actually.
At this point, this is the nichiest of all niche things that's possible.
So a
Oh, my
Torchwood
word.
operative. They've designated him as a Torchwood operative, and the tribute is largely the same. They've left out the bit about he gave his life for the children, but he is now always in our hearts and in our thoughts. So we'll expect to see the bench. Maybe they'll show us the bench in a couple of weeks, Luke. Maybe that will be kind of novel or themed around Torchwood in some way, or it could be just something that they're going to get out of B&M bargains or whatever. Not sure what
I
to expect.
love B&M. They got really good vape juice, and it's only
They've
a
got some
quid.
good Doctor Who
It's
stuff.
brilliant.
Serious question. Is this the result of like an online campaign or a group that's like funding this plaque or doing something
I do hope so.
like that?
I do. Hope
I get
it's
the
a
impression
pressure.
it's more. I get the impression it's more preemptive because nobody lost their shit, but they probably would have done.
Yes.
In all fairness,
It's interesting because there's
No,
another
it's not.
20th anniversary thing that of this year that also lends its way back in a strange way to Billy Piper and Doctor Who. It's the 20th anniversary of Life on Mars as well, which the character Sam Tyler obviously has an accent and travels back to 1973. Matthew Graham also wrote for Doctor Who, not some of the strongest episodes, some people will argue. But when he was looking for a surname for the character of Sam, his daughter suggested Tyler because Rose Tyler was her favourite character in Doctor Who. So that's how Doctor Who came into the real mainstream through Rose into another TV show and gave the name to the lead of a fictional character in another TV show. So that just shows people, if people can't remember, the true impact that Doctor Who had around. It gave names to other characters on other TV shows.
And Chris Chibnall wrote for Life on Mars. So
He did. And that was a good episode.
must have been a bloody good script editor, is all I can say.
Your number one fan.
Philip Roy is in the live chat and he adds, I saw a sign on that pic of Yanto Shrine saying, we miss Tosh too. Obviously, Tosh lines from the bill. No, Tosh, the character from Torchwood who died at the end of season 2. I think that could have been. Now I saw this. This could have been a stunt played by the actress Naoko Mori, who played Tosh. I think that this was a stunt that she pulled down there for her social medias. So that's probably what it was. What it was, Phil. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
So Phil is slagging her off on stream. Rookie move, lads. Rookie move. Come on.
Oh dear.
I just thought that when they took down the physical part, they would just make it a virtual. They would just say virtual shrine. You can post whatever you want to post.
Oh, like you could interact with it via your phone, but it's not actually there, like Pokemon Go. But it's not there in the real world. You can sort of
a virtual
download it.
Yeah, that's what I thought they do. This just seems a little bit. I don't know. This just seems like it's like, okay, it reached the end of its natural life, and that's fine. Let it go.
You're harsh, Gary. You're harsh. What about the poor people?
It may be healthier to let this go. I don't know. Let us know what you think. I mean, did you make a regular pilgrimage down to the original plaque, the original sign, and and now you're somewhat bereft of the loss of Yanto's shrine. Is it as bad as losing the little chap all over again? Let us know, of course, in the live chat.
I've never lost my little chap. Jesus.
Will you say that?
I mean, I'm not trying
Charlotte's
to,
on
look, I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm
Charlotte,
not trying to be a meanie. I'm not trying to be a monster. But I've got to confess, Yanto
We
is
did
not
think that
always in my thoughts. That's just me. He's not
Nobody
always in
make a
my
joke
thoughts.
What are you trying to
Nobody
say?
make a joke.
What are you trying to say, man? Okay, yes, and also we've got more from this. Now, this is another follow-up to an item that we've had before. I'm thinking about making this a regular segment, which I'm going to call, Luke, Chris Cross. Chris Cross. And it's because Chris Eccleston,
Jump.
you'll never believe this, but Chris Eccleston is not a happy bunny, Luke. He's not a happy bunny at all. Now, you would think he would be. You'd think he would be because he's out on the promo circuit now, promoting his new Netflix series, which I would think would be a big payday. A few mortgage payments sorted out for the big guy there. He's been speaking up at last of the depiction of a certain demographic, specifically in the current TV climate. And yeah, you know what happens when Christopher Eccleston opens his mouth. You know, people do try to silence him. He has been blacklisted in the past. And whilst I don't condone that at all, sometimes when I see that Chris Eccleston is going off on one, I think, well, I admire the swagger, but come on. Is it any wonder that this guy seems to wind people up? So yeah, he's noticed that there's a constant portrayal, specifically of straight, white, middle-aged guys in popular drama from all over the world as being the very worst people in the world. We're cast as every kind of wrong, and even, of course, when the actual crime statistics out here in the real world tell a totally different story. And he's really broken out over this during an interview with the Radio Times in particular. He's pulled no punches at all. Now, quite what the makers of this new drama are going to think about all this. It's called Unchosen. It's a 6-part Netflix drama. So you know how that works. They all drop at once, but quite what they're going to make about this, I don't know. So he said there's a great trend in drama at the moment for antagonists who are toxic, white, apparently heterosexual, late middle-aged men. And speaking of this character that he's playing in Unchosen, thankfully Julia, that's the writer, gave him dimension and placed him in a story of tragedy involving the loss of his son and subsequent alcoholism by the sound of things. So this is, I wouldn't say it's suicidal, but of course, to be pointing across at other dramas. What do you think about this, Luke? I mean, is this wise that Chris continued to speak in this way? I mean, I love what he's saying. I agree with every word, but I don't want to see this guy go down another black hole, you know?
No, I don't think he is, and I think the Daily Mail, Daily Fail, what we're calling them,
Radio Times,
that rag, that load of shit. I think they're very much misquoted him from the Radio Times, and you can kind of see what he's on about, and he's generalizing the entire thing. That his, like, across the board now, TV villains are portrayed as a certain type, but his is not, and his has more layers to it. He's not as superficial and one-dimensional as everyone makes out. And I don't think the article goes on to mention that when he talks about how masculinity is declining, about working class being hampered by the right wing and stuff. And I think they completely misquoted him and completely hashed him. And I think this is everyone's making a mountain out of a molehill for this, and I think it's just stupid.
Yeah, I noticed.
I'm with him.
I noticed he'd spoken politically as well, David. It was quite a long interview, the original piece, and you're quite right. It has been misquoted by the Daily Mail and other outlets who picked it up from the Radio Times, and obviously the fandom out here. We've sort of spun it too, I suppose, in the way that we sometimes do. Chris Eccleston has spoken about television, about acting in television, and his own perception as well, which isn't something he does very often, because obviously he'd have you believe, I think, that he's mostly to be found sort of touching grass and smelling daisies and things like that. He'd have you believe that he doesn't watch a great deal of television, that he's more of a sort of theatre guy. But he spoke here about television in the past, and he says historically there would be programs that I watched when I was young where I would feel patronised. But there were a lot where I felt like I was being respected, the likes of Play for Today and The Naked Civil Servant. I mean, watching those shows when you're young, I mean, I don't know how young he means, because a lot of those shows were on quite late at night. I did watch Play for Today when I was a kid, but it was one of those things you'd sort of stay up and catch bits of rather than anything else. So maybe it was something that his mother or father both wanted him to see. But he notes that with the erosion of the writer's culture to almost writing by committee, this is specifically pointing at a dumbing down, I think, of writing generally, writing by committee. I've heard stories about some of the idiotic and sometimes downright hateful assumptions about the audience's intelligence today. A lot of people in television think the audience is stupid. Now, this will be particularly pointed, I would think, because obviously we've got a short list of the people that Chris Eccleston has worked for. Lots of independents, Red Productions and things like that, Channel 4, the BBC. I don't know how well this is going to go down. I think that as audiences, Gary, though, we've felt for quite a long time that the people who make the television that we watch think that we're stupid.
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing, I can't think of a single point where I disagree with him. I mean, it may be uncomfortable for certain people to hear, but he's absolutely right. I mean, the fact that, I mean, look, I mean, television's a business, so of course they're going to try to follow cultural trends and market to that. I get that. But at some point that becomes detrimental. If your audience now all of a sudden overnight is people who can only handle like short 10, 15, 30-second bursts of content before they move on, you can't program to that. But I think that they just keep lowering the bar in this desperate quest for audiences, and they're leaving out a huge chunk of the audience who's looking for challenging, stimulating material, which kind of like raises the bar. But that's not, I mean, in this desperate hunt for ratings, it's kind of like in Max Headroom. Remember the Max Headroom show where everybody worked for television stations and they were monitoring what the ratings were every minute, like minute by minute, 24/7. They were what was the audience like? Let's program for that. That's almost in a way, that was very prescient, because that's almost in a way kind of what's happening. And so I think there's an implicit assumption on a lot of programmers' parts that the audience can't handle more than what they're giving us, which is why they're giving us, it's content. I think, Luke likes to use the word, and I agree with him, content. It's just content. And that's a loaded word, which means it's basically just designed to keep somebody staring at the screen for, however long. It's not trying to challenge you or lift you or stimulate you. I think he's absolutely right.
Initially, Gary, in Britain, they made quite a fanfare of the notion on Doctor Who as well. Latterly, I think they were quite slow to get around to this on Doctor Who, but it did happen. They made a big song and dance about the fact that on British television, we were starting to employ an American method of a writer's room, whereby, and largely from the get-go as well, whereby obviously a group of writers would get together and sort of work on, develop the broader series, I suppose, decide not just on the tone, but some of the content as well. But I do think in some respects that's a good thing for consistency. But it is also the case, Charlotte, isn't it, that too many cooks spoil the broth. And when you getting to the point where, Chris is describing this as if something is written by committee, and we see that all of the time. Most obviously, it's present in the DEI strategies. We must have a person who's a Romany gypsy. We must have a paraplegic. We must have a dwarf. We must, and it just gets silly to the point where the thing is straining it's not a representation of the world that we live in, so it strains our credibility to the max. That's the most obvious thing that we see, but it's quite likely, I suppose, from a program maker's point of view, Charlotte, and a performer's point of view, they probably see things that we don't when they just look at the material, the words on the page.
Well, like you said, I saw sort of the headline of this Chris interview, so I went on purpose to try and read the full thing, because Chris is usually, when he wants to say something, he usually says it quite fully, and he actually explains himself. Whether you agree with him or not what he's saying, that tends to be the way he does it. So I read the whole thing, and actually I think the two things he's pointing to here are quite prevalent in issues with TV right now. It's this idea that suddenly morality, and usually it's the sort of the worst end of that, seems to mysteriously only appear in certain groups now. It's the whole concept of anybody from any walk of life, from any sort of life experience, can be a villain of the piece. It's not exclusive to males, to whites, to middle-aged people, and he sort of talked about the working class angle as well in this, but that wasn't the headline part of it. It's like there's a reason in literature and in TV and everything before that you can have a Lady Macbeth who's this absolutely power-hungry figure who's pushing Macbeth, who's the reason why he does a lot of those unmoral actions is because of what she's saying to him. And then you can have the Joker, who's just chaotic and wants chaos everywhere. So it's not exclusive. That's my point, and I think that's been lost in a lot of the writers now. And then what he's saying in the second half is about audience sort of appreciation. And the thing is, as a writer, he would have had these conversations, or he would have been more privy to other writers speaking to each other, to producers, to that side of the television angle. And we've sort of all said, surely they think we're stupid. And now Chris has basically come out and said, yeah, they even say it to each other. And that's what is interesting, that I don't think many actors would have come out and said that. Like you said, Dan, because this could, if certain people are reading this interview could go, what, I want to work with him, because he's sort of letting out the bit that we've been saying behind closed doors. That's what I found most interesting about the Chris stuff with this.
Also, the fact that it's not an interview that's on video as well, Luke, so we have to kind of read into the tone of what he's saying up to a point. I think because of Chris Eccleston's voice, that his very distinctive voice and manner, we imagine that everything that he says is said in a sort of sour, dour way. But it may be constructive criticism, to be fair.
He's just saying the same thing that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck said on Joe Rogan, just worded very differently.
Oh, okay.
When the remake from Netflix is like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck said that when they did their film that just recently come out, the cop film, I can't remember what it's called, and I did promo for it. I can't remember. Which is a true story as well. It's an American. Gary should know because they're American. Yeah. They said that Netflix now requires the plot to be said and repeated at least 3 or 4 times in like the first act and then throughout the film, because people just don't pay attention anymore and people don't watch and people don't care. But then they used adolescence as like, well, adolescents never done it, but we got forced to do it, and that's the remit that's coming down from Netflix. Is people are just not interested, just don't watch TV, they don't care. Everything's been dumbed down, so you have to keep repeating the plot and repeating. Is like, we're going to do this, we're going to so he's literally just saying the same thing as what they said a couple of months ago. Really,
Luke, I agree with you, but here he's talking about more the writers talking like this, whereas the stuff with the Netflix, they were talking about more the whole like organization, and that's
it's
what
marketed
I think
aimed at, targeted.
Sort of
so it's for second sight viewing.
Yeah, it's for second sight view. Yeah, but you've got to write the plot in 3 or 4 times. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon wrote the film, so they're gonna have to be like, oh right, okay, we've got to put this in again. We've got to put this in again. So that's the remit, is the writers and the directors and the producers have to dumb down the script, repeat it about 3 or 4 times, make sure people are watching, make sure if someone's going to look up from their phone, they always know what's going on. So it's like sometimes the audience doesn't need to know everything, and that's a good thing. And I think writers need to wise up a bit.
But see, again, I think that since that is what's going on, all that is just a downward spiral. If they're going to be programming like for what essentially is like lowest common denominator, people who aren't paying attention, people who really couldn't give a crap, people who don't really want to sit down and be challenged and stimulated by a well-written story. And why are the networks, programming for that kind of like lowest common denominator instead of programming for people that will like raise their profile and help the whole industry? By continuing to do that, it's a downward spiral. There's no way
how Luke describes it, Gary. You think, that makes perfect sense. I see why they would do that, and you think, it's quite, in a sense, it's quite clever. And then you think, but that leads us kind of down a one-way street, David, and that's what I sort of regret. I can't see any way back from that. Tony Farrell in the live chat reminds us that Doctor Who began as a product of a committee, and he suggests, David, it's who's on your committee that counts.
Yeah.
Fresh ideas and approaches can be produced.
Look, Friends, Frasier had multiple writers on it. The Americans have been doing that for years. It didn't affect that quality. What the issue? It's a multiple sort of issues. There's the issue that Luke has mentioned. There's the issue of a number of actors, particularly working class actors, have bemoaned the fact that there's not enough working class actors coming through, and it's very privileged individuals who are coming to RADA and who have had no sort of experience of hard times, and Lambda and all the others. There's the mixture of the writer. There's this issue of the writers, of whom may also aren't you Jimmy McGoverns, aren't you sort of activist TV writers, of whom I've seen hardship and have come through. You've got the ability of people not to be able to tell, the lack of ability of people to be able to tell a story and have characters that are fleshed out with motivations. I was once in a leadership training session with a chap who I'm still in contact with today, and he's a lovely guy. And he was saying what once said about people when somebody said, I would never do that in a position of authority, or I'd never do this. And he was saying, I had somebody ask me about, there was a case a while ago, a number of years ago, about 15, 16 years ago, of a husband, a dad, who jumped off a balcony with their 2 children overseas. I think it might have been in the Canary Islands or a Spanish island. And they said, what sort of person could do that? And he said, well, he said anybody could do that given the right set of situations. And the whole idea of characters are that they portray real life people, that given a set of specific incidents, it shows their descent or ascent, descent into despicability, or ascent into holiness, if you like, and a heroic sort of stature, that given the sort of choices and given the sort of things that happen to them, this is how they get there. And it doesn't mean that you can have somebody there who's a despotic, evil, ranty sort of figure. And your first question is, why are they like that? And if you're not given that information, if you're not given that background, if you're not given that thing to go, right, I don't agree with the choices that they've made. However, I feel sorry for them, that or I feel sort of.
You mentioned Jimmy McGovern a while ago, David, and although he wouldn't ever have written for Doctor Who, obviously, I think that kind of writing, Paul Abbott to a lesser extent as well, not people like Alan Bleasdale as well, but they would show you all sides to these people, to their characters, sometimes the darkest sides to human nature imaginable, and then they'd walk you, either walk you there or walk you back from, depending on the format of the drama, how a relatively normal person could find themselves making those choices and set them on that path. And whilst that isn't probably suitable for Doctor Who, for family orientated television, I think the principle is largely the same. I think that how it works, that sort of few steps, that is universal. Is the impression that I get when I look at the drama that I like and the characters that have like the incarnations of the Doctor, which I've enjoyed the most, are the ones that tend to be a little bit more unknowable, I suppose. And you don't quite know what they do in certain situations.
Well, if you take Davros as a perfectly good example, there you have a brilliant scientist who's in a 1,000-year war against a sworn enemy. He's been crippled. He's been blown to smithereens by the enemy, and his one sole purpose is to ensure the survival of his race, no matter what cost, and by creating the sort of like vision of how the race will become. Okay, quite clearly, he's psychopathic, he's mad as hell because he's been driven to madness by this sheer brutality and the sheer doctrine. But can you understand, with respect to Genesis and then the further stories, why he has taken these steps? Absolutely. Is he a baddie? Completely. Is he an arse? Totally. Is he completely wrong in the head? Absolutely. But can you understand why he has gone through that process? Absolutely, 100%. You can see why he is where he is.
And here I am, David, talking about contemporary, sort of adult screenwriters, novelists, and yet it's interesting that 5 decades ago, people working on this precise show, specifically Robert Holmes and to a lesser extent Terry Nation, but they weren't alone, had a grasp of all this, and they seem to know the right ingredients to put into the mix. I don't know where we lost out.
Well, see, that's why you could have somebody like Malcolm Holt, one of my favorite Who writers, who wrote these really gripping kind of like morality tales, where basically both sides of an issue are presented, and you can kind of understand where they were both coming from. But he made that work in the context of Doctor Who. You can have writers with individual voices, whether it's an existing show like Doctor Who, or whether it's writing like a one-off drama or a mini series. And this happened all throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And individual writers had a spotlight to present the drama they themselves has created, as opposed to now, I think, when Eccleston's contrasting the writer's room, where basically if it's run by a showrunner who wants to push a particular idea and all the writers basically are just functionaries, doing what the showrunners do. That's why we had so many of the problems in so many of the Trek franchises over the last 10 years, in Doctor Who, because you have these people with all these individual agendas who are not allowing the writers to craft their own individual stories. They basically just got to be faceless functionaries enacting whatever the runner wants to do.
Yeah, and I think what this speaks to more generally is that we are not getting compelling villains as much as we used to. We're not getting, like David said, villains that are still absolutely have those lack of morals or psychopathic or have those traits. But when you sort of go through their mind process, you can see how they were like, in that moment, I am doing the right thing. even though it's
well,
got
Charlotte-
horrible consequences.
And what David has just identified and what you've connected it to, the next step along from that is that we notice that Chris is absolutely right, because usually commonly when we watch a lot of the crime dramas, or just dramas generally, that crimes don't necessarily have to have been committed. It needn't be a detective show, but quite often within 10 or 15 minutes of a drama starting, whether it be on Netflix, Amazon, or the BBC or anywhere else, you can usually work out that if there is a straight white middle-aged guy in the cast, he's going to be the wrong one. He's going to be the perpetrator. He's going to be the one who comes unstuck, I suppose, or is revealed to have been the problem all along. Quite what this says for Unchosen, I don't know. This is coming. This is a psychological thriller mini-series. It's British, so it's been made here, and it's going to premiere on Netflix on April the 21st, 2026. All 6 episodes released simultaneously. So I wonder. Chris does seem quite proud of this, doesn't he? He was talking up the writer, but then again, he used to talk up Russell T Davies. Do you remember that? Seems like such a long time ago, doesn't it? Let us know if you're going to be adding Unchosen to your queue of stuff to watch. Let's go and check in with the live chat and see what we've stimulated ourselves.
You're watching Type 40. Stupid tune anyway.
Yes, we have been joined by the right bunch of tarts here in the live chat. Good to have you all back, all the newcomers. It's great to have you with us. Woodpecker 122 was in pretty early with Evening All. Not surprised there was no Tennant announcement today. Some people were expecting some big announcement, Charlotte. And this no evidence of this whatsoever. But again, extended silly season that David mentioned earlier on. I think we're there. Tom has joined us too from T-Dwarf Productions. So he's busy. He's multitasking at the moment. He's enjoying and contributing here in the live chat on YouTube, but he's also building some of his monstrous models as well. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Tom. Keep doing what you're doing, my friend. Wendy is here from the Department of Wendology. She's
Wen.
After a long gap. I haven't seen you around for a while, Wendy.
Yeah.
Ahoy there, folks. Hope everyone's well. Are you well, Gary?
I think she was traveling.
She's traveling. Yeah, they've been not far from me. They've been to Stratford.
Hey.
Wendy and
Well, if that was the
gentleman.
case, they should have come by.
They should have come by. I quite agree. Stephen Braddock is also here. Now, he's had a choice. Type 40 Live or those 60th anniversary episodes on the other side. So apparently the 3 episodes from 2023 have been repeated on BBC 3 for no real reason, I suppose. But Type 40 Live has one out for Stephen. I don't know why they would show those when they've just changed all the branding to 2006. You would think they'd whack on, I don't know, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, maybe a Luke. Very strange affair.
They've changed it all back now.
Oh, they've changed it all back.
Yeah, it was only yesterday. They've changed it all back now. So even the TARDIS poster is back.
It was all still up when I looked about 2 hours ago. So who knows? Maybe you'd have to refresh your browser. And I haven't. Pete, yes, we've got admirers of the 2006 TARDIS are in. I love that TARDIS because it was very low budget, says too. You think that was low budget? It was positively luxurious compared to the budget of the original show. But it's a lot smaller than you think, Charlotte. When we see those pictures, when there's nobody on the set, you think, oh, okay. If you work out the height of the people and hat stands and this and that and the other, you think, okay, this was actually quite a small set compared to compared to Capaldi's, never mind the bloody thing that Shooty Gatwa was running around in.
Yeah, I can remember when I saw some of it at the Doctor Who Experience, I sort of clicked and I was like, oh, wow, they filmed this to look so much bigger on the TV.
Is it like a snow
a little. Toon Army also says, I don't mind a one-off. Let's say no more. Because Billy never did get her send-off. No, she had about 5 send-offs, didn't she?
I was going to say, yeah, she did.
Quite a lot. Whereas Matthew Pounder, the ray of sunshine that he is, like Matthew, says he just wishes that Tennant and Piper would go away. I like them, but even I am sort of a little bit fed up of them, to tell you the truth.
I think they should set the Christmas special at Yanto's Shrine. Just write a story about that.
And have you just there in the background just going, why?
Yeah.
Just why?
No, they can have like a news person, David, come along. What do you think about Yanto's Shrine? I don't see the point. That could be my cameo.
We have stirred some love for Series 2 in the live chat. People naming their favourite episodes, including Lord Thoth, who picks out Girl in the Fireplace. But Davey96 says, I don't want to poop on Mr. Milling's love for Series 2. But whilst I like Series 2, I think it's the weakest of the... Oh, everybody's got an opinion about this stuff, haven't they? I'm a big fan of Series 2. I feel under no pressure to pick, David. I never go there. I never think of things like that. Because I think we needed, whatever we think of each series, there's a sort of build with those three that star Tennant that I don't think was repeated with latter Doctors, whereby you feel like you're kind of watching a trilogy almost. But Matthew Pounder says that Doctor Who lost its identity when it became mass appeal fair. Matthew, it was meant to be mass appeal when the thing started in '63. Yeah. Come on. Am I wrong, Charlotte? Am I wrong?
No.
No, I think old TV is meant to get as much people watching it as it should. Yeah. And that's always the aim of the people making it.
Doctor Who is as populist a show as it could possibly get. Rose Kirby, she's still excited, counting down the days, potentially the days to the Christmas special. 252 days, 36 weeks. Yeah, thanks for that, Rose. 36 weeks till Christmas. But she says hello, everyone, and good morning and good afternoon to all. Good afternoon, good morning, and good afternoon to you too, Rose. Matthew Pounder suggests that Chris Eccleston talks a load of drivel elsewhere in the article. Well, I left out the political stuff because, we've all got different feelings about all of that. Some will agree, some will disagree. And vive la différence. At least he's speaking. This is what I like about Chris Eccleston. I do hope he doesn't get blacklisted again, because I think it's important that people speak, and he shouldn't be punished for speaking. As long as you don't make any wild accusations, against somebody's character or their professional conduct that can't be substantiated, that are erroneous or mean-spirited. I think people should voice these concerns, these perspectives. I think are important. Yeah. Mr. Puma simply says, it's dead. Jim, what's dead? What's expired on you, Mr. Puma? Let us know. And he goes on to say, no new Doctor cast, and there's supposed to be a Christmas special this year. Imagine filming and editing it before December. It sounds like a recipe for disaster. Look, they've only got to film an hour.
It'd be easy. Didn't Stephen Moffat do one in September once? Was that Twice Upon a Time?
No, but I think... Wow. But he did film one quite late, August, September. I think Twice Upon a Time was shot earlier than that. But there was a couple that were near the knuckle. Again, though, this is what Mystic Puma is picking up on. It's stuff that's out there in the ether that we're kind of telling ourselves. It is only mid-April. Everything is done, but the filming. So it would... They've got 2 months to film something, Mystic Puma. So there's no recipe for disaster. They've moved things around to accommodate certain people. Unless they stick with Rose. Yes, so Billy Piper is in it. So again, it doesn't take genius to work this out. But if you just want to stay where you are on it, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, there is plenty of time between now and Christmas to film an hour's worth of television and to go into post production.
And also, I think we forget with Jodie's regeneration, her bits were filmed in one location and with one team. And then the Tennant stuff was filmed in a separate location by Bad Wolf or some people that were more Bad Wolf. And then they basically stitched those two regenerations together. And that's what we saw on screen.
Zach Whitton's reminded us here, Luke, that Runaway Bride was filmed in the middle of the summer and then was shown at Christmas. So 6 months later.
Time of the Doctor was shot in September.
Oh, was it?
That was the one I was thinking. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
Just make it a clip show. Film like 20 minutes of new stuff and then have 40 minutes of old clips, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Zach does say that he couldn't care less about the current special. Doctor Who lost its popularity when it stopped being populist and catered for the fans, said Woodhouse 122. Well, again, we've been over that several times, and we couldn't agree more. Doctor Who is a really populist show. It's meant to have broad appeal. It's as mainstream as you could possibly have a show to be, aimed at a broad demographic, a family audience. I don't think that's anything new. And we've got Bill Silvers joining us in the live chat as well, dissecting David Tennant's comeback in 2023. We must have talked about that dozens of times. And but Tony Farrell is there now. Tony, he was there because Tony was on set for this one. So Twice Upon a Time, filmed in June and July 2017, including having to insert David Bradley into the season finale, which was only transmitted a fortnight later. Oh, wow. I didn't realise that had happened. Thanks for that, Big T. Yeah,
Wow.
Tony was on hand to sort them out as regards the accuracy of their TARDIS consoles. David, he was their man. He was their go-to guy.
Good man, Tony. I like that. There was also a comment that you briefly flashed up from the wonderful Philip Roy that was explaining things far better than I did about characterization. I don't know if you still got it.
Yeah, he said to back up David's point, writers and actors should try and portray bad guys as bad guys who don't think they're bad.
That's what I
they
was
think
trying
they're
to say.
doing right. Otherwise, the character can be two-dimensional. No, they've got to have absolute conviction in the place that person is at in life. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And Doctor Who's no different.
There's that whole saying that usually a good villain thinks they're the hero of their tale.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
That's the
Like
mentality that's the thing. If you write them as, oh, I'm going to be the bad guy, mwahahaha,
Yeah.
they tend to be cartoony and not good villains.
Yeah, like Snidely Whiplash, yeah.
But if you write them in their head as, no, I'm the one that people are going to love, I'm the one doing the right thing, I'm the hero, then they're so much more compelling.
Yeah.
It's that one conversation that the Doctor has with Davros about will you crush the pill? And that conversation, Davros in his head is going, well, absolutely, 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 because I'm the good guy here, and I would kill everything because that's the right thing to do.
That power would set me up above the gods.
Exactly, and that whole thing is what Philip and Charlotte rather more eloquently put than I did. So thank you for getting what I was trying to say.
Just go look at Homelander.
Yeah.
Homelander, is that
Boys.
like a Home Bargains kind of?
It's the boys. It's the boys.
I thought it was a shop.
He thinks he's a good guy. He thinks he's God. He's the worst. It's such a great series. It's a phenomenal series. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll go with you on that one. That is great.
Thank you, everybody, for the comments so far. Clearly, we've stimulated some debate there in the live chat, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Always great to see here at Type 40 Live. Okay, what else? If you want more, or you simply want to relive some of our greatest hits, you can catch up with our regular news roundup shows, our deep dives into the work of particular actors or directors or producers or whatever, usually to time to coincide with a birthday or something like that. All of that is here in the playlists, as well as our long-form deep dives when there's some fabulous breaking news story, such as the return of some missing episodes. All of that is there in the playlists as always. And there's the Type 40 podcast, of course, across all major podcatchers too, or our home feed at type40.podbean.com. As ever, the latest episode there out on the feeds right now. It's a conversation, It's a conversation with Tim Burrows of the Doctor Who Missing Episodes podcast, with all of us there during that exciting week when it was revealed that 2 episodes of the Dalek Master Plan had been returned. So all of that is up there on the playlists, as well as everything from the podcast's long and distinguished past. But this is Type 40 Live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you, everybody, for being here so far. Where are we off to next? I think, there's no time like the present to remind us of this.
Hello, this is Sue Molden. On behalf of the team, I'd like to say how overwhelmed and extremely grateful we are to everyone who has donated so far. The response has been magnificent, and we are especially grateful to those who have pledged regular donations. A big thank you from all of us at Film is Fabulous.
The fandom, I think, is still buzzing, Gary, from the return of those 2 missing episodes a couple of weeks ago. Have you gone back and have you rewatched yet? Have you gone over it and over it? Fine tough comb?
I have not had time, but I'm definitely going to at least a couple more times. Yeah.
Justice for Katerina.
It has felt. Never mind 2006, David. I feel like it's been a first Doctor revival. I don't know about a 10th Doctor revival. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, I sadly I couldn't make the review show, but I have watched them back a couple of times now, and I particularly love watching the first 3 episodes all in one because they will take you through that way on the iPlayer. But I just love my one thing that still gets me after the time is when poor old it's Hartnell's toupee. I love a good syrup anyway. But as you know from our sister show, I particularly just love the storytelling in it, and the one irritating thing that annoys me is in the control room with the obvious flashing light, which is indicated, as I took it to be, Brett's message from Kemble coming in. I'm just thinking, won't somebody answer that bloody flashing light? You know, it's obviously a communication coming in, but you're all ignoring it, talking about how wonderful Marek Chen is. And I love the fact also that his spacecraft is called a spa. Almost has he got sort of like exotic ladies there giving him a bit of a rub down, and has he got a steam room on it and a sauna? And I just think it's wonderful seeing Dougie Camfield's brilliant direction in such a small studio space as well.
Yeah,
how he's got everything going around with those primitive cameras. It's amazing, and
so it's been a great time to be a Doctor Who fan, David. This last 2 or 3 weeks.
That and a Lincoln City fan as well. So it's been fantastic, you know.
David, let me ask you, David, what did you think about Katerina?
I love her. I think she should have been kept on purely because I would just love to have seen everything explained to her. Look, this is a spoon,
right? Okay.
And this is how we eat, and this
is your elbow.
This is a tablet, and this is what we take. Because I would have just loved to have seen, from a purely comical point of view. So this is comedy, okay? How far they could have taken that idea. As to, you know, could they have put her somewhere with cars and sort of what sort of situations could they have put her in that would have meant that they'd have to sort of like, and there we go through here and through there and I just would have loved to have seen how wacky they could have taken that idea.
Yeah,
it's becoming somewhat of a. I think, Charlotte, it's becoming somewhat of a Rorschach test now. How you feel about Katerina?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think half of the comedy for David would have just been, and Luke, what would you think of these episodes? I think that would have been half of his comedy, if I'm being perfectly honest.
So what none of you do actually know is Gary messaged me on the sly saying, I agree completely with you, but no one's going to believe me.
Not true.
The master criminal that he is.
Oh, you all put the boot in on me.
What a scam.
That is...
I would have just loved to have seen how perverse it.
I do know that Luke messaged me and said that, you know, inside he kind of sheds a single tear whenever I don't agree with him. That it really tears him up. So
since all that business with the airlock and Katerina, I haven't been able to pass a fire door without squinting in the last 2 weeks.
It's traumatic, isn't it?
David. You're quite right. Douglas Camfield was amazing at working within small spaces like that. It's incredible what he was able to achieve in those episodes that we're able to watch now, for conveying this sort of real sense of scale and of scope to it all. And I haven't rewatched them yet, but I'll be doing so at the first available opportunity, and I can't wait to see where they turn up, how they're going to be exploited in some way. But from one tiny space to another, we're going...
Oh wait! Can I just jump in a second?
No, go on. What?
So you said can't wait to see how they're being exploited. They're doing another screening with Toby Hadouken.
Yeah,
Toby
they are.
Hadouken.
Coming up. It's coming up in
Everybody
about
not shut
5
up then.
minutes.
I hope they find the episode where they
Go
stop at a
first.
cricket match, personally. But
Before we go to Manchester, we're going to. This is Cambridge. And believe it or not, the Zion Baptist Church. Obviously, William Hartnell is no longer with us. Happily, though, we have got Peter Purves, who's very much the first Doctor era sort of representative now. He's putting in some miles. Luke, as you've said, he's going to be up in Manchester soon. But he was here for the opening, for the unveiling of this TARDIS at the Zion Baptist Church of Cambridge just a few days ago. So here it is from the outside. Just looks like a normal sort of Baptist chapel. Very impressive building, come to think of it. And it's nice to see some greenery around there. But tucked away now on site is its very own TARDIS, which has been completely restored. And Peter Purves was there to cut the ribbon. And there he is with a particularly aggressive-looking ace
Jesus.
cosplayer, David. I wouldn't like to get on the wrong side of her.
no, blimey, she actually doesn't. Is she real or is she just a statue? I mean, I can't sort of think where they got her from. I mean, it's sort of like the wrong hair.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, it's sort of like looks nothing like Sophie Aldred at all.
She got the bat
And
right.
it's
The
sort of
bat's totally right.
The bat's
more like
totally right, and it's just sort of like, come on, love, wear this, and just don't say anything, just stand still.
Looks more like one of the Kangs, I thought, from
Yes.
Paradise Terrace. But this, the thing is, they've put on a whole service. This wasn't just a sort of 10-minute gig for Peter Purves, then off to the spoons for a chili. This was a big thing. This was sort of all-day event. So they had a Doctor Who themed Sunday service where they unveiled the TARDIS, and they even cut the cake. The Reverend his name's Jason DeVax, and he's a massive fan of Doctor Who, and he wanted to sort of throw open his church here to receive this TARDIS and save it from the wild. But he took the opportunity to have a lot of TARDIS Doctor Who related props and models on display there. So there's a Cyber Leader helmet and the gas mask and the Sea Devil's gun there from Warriors of the Deep. What looks like a massive dildo. Oh no, that's the tissue compression. There's various trinkets and bits and pieces there. So he really went to town on this, and there was even a giant maggot. But here he is. This is Jason, and he said Jesus Christ himself was regenerated. In a way, he came alive again.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what he says, and he saved mankind, and in the same way that Doctor Who saved mankind. So he said he drew comparisons here in his press release between the Christian Bible and Doctor Who. I mean, I have wondered, Gary, could this be seen as blasphemy in some quarters?
Wow, we could talk about that for an hour. I'm not sure that Jesus was regenerated.
No. It's an interesting grasp on the scriptures, put it that way.
Well, Russell T Davies did have clearly in the original run, at least, for a man who is an avowed atheist, he talked a lot of gods and godlike powers and a perception of godliness, I suppose. But I think that Jason's reading of it is interesting. Interesting indeed. It's a nice looking TARDIS, though, Charlotte. I think it's the proper shade of blue as well.
Yeah.
He sounds like a very unique individual.
Yes.
I think we can see that this guy could be somewhat eccentric. So the TARDIS was offered to Jason completely for free. It was rescued from a field in Ipswich, a farmer's field. It had been there for years, David, all unloved and covered in moss and various bits of it broken. But a transport firm, they got involved, and because they were run by fans as well. So they all combined on this effort to save this TARDIS from the wild and to take it to Cambridge, where it was lowered into place there on site. Now, some Doctor Who fans did notice this happening. As you can imagine, a flatbed lorry with a TARDIS going down the motorway. Of course, Doctor Who fans are going to notice, and they assumed that some filming might have been taking place, but no, it was simply being taken to the site where it could be restored and now unveiled for everybody as the centerpiece of this entire church service. I mean, this is pretty novel. I understand that attendance at most churches is down compared to what it was 10, 20 years ago. Could this be a way, David, of never mind regenerating Jesus Christ? That could be a tall order, but regenerating, I don't know, attendance in churches and interest in Doctor Who, maybe? Start with the Christians and work our way out?
Why not? Why not? Absolutely. If you want to, why not? Tap into that market and see how you go. Maybe concentrate on your knowledge of the scriptures if you're giving the sermons, and and link it to that as a Doctor Who if you feel the need to. But if you need to get your numbers up and you need to keep the interest alive, then absolutely. But as a Catholic myself, the Baptist has always been crazy. So there you go. That's my take on it. So God bless him.
So instead of the sermon, did he just run the 2 Dog Master Plan episodes?
Probably. He probably played.
That's cool.
I don't know. Played the spoons as well, and just did a little sort of ditty, and But God bless him. I have to admire his work because we've heard of plenty neglected boxes in Ipswich. So well done, that man.
I would like to think that maybe one of his parishioners, I guess, that would share a similar passion for the show would create like the police sign for the front of the TARDIS. The police public call box. I mean, not the one by the handle.
Gary, that's where he's going to put the hymns for that week. He's going to write the hymns.
Such a good idea.
Yes.
I'm loving the fact that Peter Purves is very much the man of the moment, to tell you the truth, Luke. I mean, this guy, he's been a fixture of British television for 60 years in one production or another, either as a presenter or as an actor. And whilst I wouldn't ever say that he was a forgotten Doctor Who figure, I'd say it was probably the 3rd or 4th line on his CV. But now he's reveling in being Stephen Taylor again and being this sort of ambassador for an entire era at such an exciting time. I mean, look at his face.
Yeah, they're getting their money's worth out of him, isn't they?
You know what? I hope this is not being blasphemous, but I think it will be a fun idea. Who just said about putting the hymn list?
David.
Adapt that, David, but have a permanent sign there which don't have police telephones. Say something like, "Our church, free for use of public," which it would be, "advice and assistance obtainable immediately," which you would, and then something like God will respond. God will respond to urgent calls. Adapt the actual sign to the fact that it's in the front of a church.
I'd love to see Trump advance his reaction to when they see what the vicar said. Oh, gosh, carnage.
Yeah, the vicar also said, Charlotte, I believe it's going to draw people to come to the church, not just because of their faith, which is obviously an awesome thing, as we're a church, but for people to come and see something which is epic. That's what he said, epic.
But here's the, you can't deny he clearly has a real love. And this is what all this sort of, we can joke and we can sort of say what we have, but you can tell this bloke clearly adores and loves this show.
Yes.
And he wanted to sort of have that as part of his job. And just to add a little bit to the Peter thing, I agree. I think because of like how when people think of the first Doctor, they think, rightfully so, of Ian, Barbara and Susan. Because they were the beginning, they were there for such a long time, and they were so important. But I agree with you, Dan. I think a lot of his later companions, like Stephen, like Vicky, like sort of the Polly and ones like that, because they had those short stints, and because a lot of those episodes were missing for a long time, I think they were forgotten. And now I do feel like a lot of that era, companion-wise, is getting its day in the sun. And Peter I think, is definitely becoming sort of the figurehead for that, which is just lovely, because a lot of those characters have so much to show. And I think that was forgotten as well, which is nice that that's getting discovered again, I feel like, through these missing episodes, and just the first era getting more recognised.
Who's going to be the first to tell the vicar that those windows on the police box are the wrong size?
but Peter Purves has invented a new take on rock, paper, scissors. He's got scissors, ribbon, and bat. So scissors cut ribbon, bat blunt scissors, and ribbon tangles bat. So
it was very good. That was very, very good.
Thank you. I think he needs to get down the patent office very quickly.
Oh, dear me. David Milling, what a silly sausage you are. But I don't know who's sillier, you for saying it or me for laughing at it. Okay, so yeah, you're quite right. Peter Purves is not done there. He's putting in some more miles. So if you couldn't make the recovered Doctor Who special at Riverside a couple of weeks ago there, that looked like a fantastic event, didn't it? So jealous. Lots of our friends were there too, not least of all Toby Haydock and Tim Burrows. They were there, weren't they, on stage? But lots of people in the audience as well. I was quite jealous of that. But if you couldn't make that, you'd like to go and see these episodes surrounded by fellow Doctor Who fans, we have that second chance, Luke, just as you've said. So they're screening it in Manchester as well. Peter Purves is going to be there at home, Manchester, Saturday the 23rd of May 2026. The event will offer the fans the chance to see the first 3 episodes again. So the Dalek Master Plan, 2 of which were recently recovered. So on your turf, Luke, are you going to go to this? Do you think you're going to line up?
It's literally like just outside my house. It's just literally opposite.
Wow.
I can see it. Yeah,
Home, rude not to.
Yeah,
take
home
him
is
to
right.
Pop World after.
Home, yeah, I fucking take Peter Purves to Pop World. Oh, take him to Canal Street as well. We'll have a hell of a night.
Take your Luke, take your phone and record something. Like do a meet and greet with all the fans out there.
I think originally that weekend I was supposed to be doing a We Sound Familiar thing. So I don't know if it's happening now. So I think me and Mr. Carly were on about going, and it's my birthday the week after, so I probably will end up going anyway. So yeah, hopefully we'll go. I think tickets are on sale kind of now if you're a member or a patron, and I think they go on sale general public on the 20th or 23rd. Around about then, I think.
Yeah, you don't want to be double booked with Peter Purves, do you? That'd be suicidal.
There is a nightclub in Manchester called Fab Cafe that has a TARDIS, a Dalek, and a Cyberman. So I'll get him in there on the Doctor Woo Woos. We'll have a great old time.
yeah. Get him.
Have him. He can buy you a drink for your birthday.
Yeah, exactly. He owes me one, I reckon.
Yes.
Excellent stuff. So you can meet Peter Purves, go and see those 3 episodes, the reunited trilogy that started the Dalek Master Plan there, that we all watched a couple of weeks ago. And we talked about it, didn't we, at length here on the show. You can go and see it with Peter Purves if you're in the Manchester area or anywhere up north, really. It's going to be a lot easier for you to get to this one, courtesy of Film is Fabulous at home in Manchester. You may even bump into Luke Walters. Don't forget to support Film is Fabulous if you can. As ever, the link is in the description for that. Takes you right to their website. And don't forget their YouTube channel as well, where you can check out some absolutely terrific videos. So informative about the whole restoration and conversations from that original event at the Riverside as well. It's all over there for you to enjoy. And don't forget to tell them that Type 40 sent you. Okay, what next? Go for a song. I love this picture. Anything with this cast, any of the cast probably up until Master Plan. Really, I've got such fond memories of discovering it all on VHS in the 90s. That's what, to me, that's what this era sort of brings to mind. The early 1990s. It's the strangest thing. for the last couple of weeks. This has been so special to share it all with everybody. How exciting it all was, David, and then to watch the episodes and be able to speak about them with everybody else. It really was something special. It was so exciting, in fact, that I need the little boys' room. It's yes, it's time for a break.
Okay.
But it's the ideal junction, though, to take you all back to a simpler time, a more analog era, in fact, where some of Doctor Who's golden faces and silkiest of voices were selling us all manner of old tat. They were grifting on the other side on the light channel. It can only be the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. Here's a brand new one. Check it out, and we'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Only one of these people has Scholl thermal insoles. Thermal insoles really keep your feet warmer. With a thermal insulator, plus this amazing aluminized film, originally designed to combat sub-zero temperatures in space. You've got the thermal insoles, haven't you?
Yes.
Scholl thermal insoles keep the heat in your feet.
When I was told that these crackers have 2, 3, up to 6 times more fat than this Rivita, I naturally asked, how come? The answer's simple. Crackers contain added fats. Rivita contains only wholemeal rye and a little salt. Rivita is the name you've come to know and trust as the leading slimming crisp bread. Now, brown Rivita has a delicious taste, all of its own. So enjoy brown Rivita.
Did you know there have actually been 10 Doctor Who's? Yeah, the Daleks were originally called the Mutants, and TARDIS stands for Time and Relative Dimensions in Space.
Radio Times. You're more informed because we're more informed.
Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Roman theatre at St. Albans looked like this, designed in such a way that from the very back of the auditorium, you could clearly hear a whisper from the center of the stage. Standing here today in that same theatre, a British Telecom cellnet phone would carry your whisper to your bank manager, your office, your brother in Australia, in fact, to any one of 500 million telephone subscribers throughout the world. An amazing example of British Telecom technology.
Putting Britain ahead of the world, in touch with the world. British Telecom and its people.
The power behind the button.
The power behind the button. Hit the button if you can find it. If you can find it, of course. Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook here with more Type 40 Live at the past, the present, and the future of Doctor Who. Just not necessarily in that order, definitely out of order. In fact, that's very much the model here. Okay, so we're back. Did you enjoy that? I hope so. I like the Rivita ad with Katie Manning myself. Not seen that one before. Okay, so where are we? Have we got everybody back on deck? I think we have. Hello, yes, here they all are. All relieved now, all better now. Yes, I'm sorry.
Can we agree that? Can we all just go ahead and agree that Tom Baker has the most distinctive voice of any human being ever in the history of the planet?
I think Brian Blessed would be one
Yes.
to have a go at you.
Yeah.
I'll
Brian
vote for
Blessed, Tom Baker.
He's
Yeah.
definitely up there. And a classic advert from the early 90s there, Charlotte. Did you like that enormous phone that looked like a house brick?
It sort of, I forget how big phones were, like when they first came out, considering what nowadays we have something like this.
You should have seen the batteries. You have to strap them to your back like a Ghostbuster.
It's like a great big huge unit. God.
They were incredible, those things, and the aerials were sort of stuck fast. Fly Highlands joined us in the live chat there. New character options, Doctor Who merchandise tomorrow, folks. I would get excited, Luke, but I can never find the fucking things. So
I saw there was a little bit of a leak, wasn't there, recently with the Doctor Who figures? I missed it. So we'll see tomorrow apparently.
There we are. Wait and see. Wait and see. Not sure about later 60s companions having short stints, Charlotte. Most did a full recording block of 46 weeks, says Tony. There's Tony Farrell marking our homework again.
But, Tony, I sort of meant in comparison to what the first three did. And sort of in public memory, they're sort of seen as shorter because of a couple of other factors. But I get what you mean, Tony.
And some of them just disappeared halfway through a bloody story and weren't seen again.
Blink and you'll miss them. Tom Baker was dressed as John McCurrick. David, I used to love John McCurrick. I've never been a racing fan, but I was a John McCurrick fan. He was sort of a pundit. He used to give the bookies odds and things at the side of racetracks on the television broadcasts of horse racing. Gary, he's a really larger-than-life character. So from the neck down, he's sort of dressed like John Pertwee. But to cross between John Pertwee and Sherlock Holmes, he was extraordinary. Yeah. He'd got massive mutton chop sideburns that used to come out here to the point where you think that there was a strong enough gust of wind, he'd probably take off. Sadly, no longer with us, but what a character he was. Speaking of characters, Doctor Who, it says, no shortage of characters, and that's just the live chat, isn't it? Characters and gobshites, really. The doctors all love to talk. Not many haven't given lectures throughout their tenure, but I was particularly impressed with Peter Capaldi when he did that stint at university. I thought that was fabulous. But that does bring us to this topic of conversation, because a former star of they're all former stars really at the moment, apart from Billy Piper. A former star of Doctor Who is about to be recognised as being a great mind of our time. This story was broken the other day. Whose side?
That was me, Dan.
BBC News broke this story the other day that Doctor Who star Shooty Gatwa, along with singers Stuart Murdoch from Belle and Sebastian and Eddie Reader from Fairground Attraction, God, that takes me back, amongst others, are all to receive honorary doctorates from the University of Glasgow later this year. I know. So Shooty Gatwa, as if we could ever forget, played Doctor Who for 2 series, sort of, and he's going to be made a Doctor of University. Doctor of the University at the University of Glasgow. So I'm not quite sure that could mean, is that like having a mascot? Is that pretty much like being a gonk on a desk at the front during an exam or something, or something that gets waved in the air when they're playing rugby or cricket or whatever? I don't know.
In a university sort of style of a thing, yeah. Honorary doctorates are often given to celebrities or people who've got a tie to a specific location, as sort of like ambassadors for the university. Sort of like, it can be a bit of a marketing ploy, as well, to encourage people to come to the university, as saying, look, that our honorary doctorates are who grew up in Glasgow and they achieved this. So if you come to Glasgow, you can come. This is the sort of thing you can achieve. And it is largely a marketing tool. And Glasgow University need it because the Scottish universities are in a similar state to the UK sort of English universities, but Scotland have been quite hit even more by the cost of living, because of course they have free tuition fees for people in Scotland who want to go to university in Scotland, and they've been hit quite hard financially. Recently, it's predicted that Glasgow University are going to lose £33 million over 2 years, and they've already spent £3 million in paying off staff in January 2026 because they're in such a bit of a financial crisis. So the more ambassadors they can get to give honorary doctorates to, that may go to sort of promote the university, the better, because they really are struggling. It's been quite widely reported if on question time. And
does any money change hands with the people who are given doctorates at all?
No.
It's purely an honorary thing, and it's almost sort of like we'll give you, we'll recognise what you've contributed, or to the arts. It will be for Shooty Gatwa in a sort of like, if you can do your best to promote Glasgow University on your trips around the world. And the round the world bit is particularly important because as tuition fees for Scotland have been frozen, as in it comes from central funding, because it will come from Holyrood, the funding for the universities. They rely heavily on international students. Like a lot of universities do, and international students pay extortionate amounts of tuition fees, and in order to come and study at Glasgow. So if Shooty Gatwa was over in the US on a film playing a part, no matter how big that film may be, he may be able to say to people, "Oh, well, Glasgow University is a really, really good place to go. By the way, I'm an honorary doctorate of that place," and da-da-da-da-da. So it can also be a sort of like a fundraising thing for the university to sort of.
The thing is, I can't think of. I've no doubt that all of that is true, but I can't think of a single instance where I've seen an actor or a pop star, anybody connected with popular culture, actually do that ever.
Yeah,
I can't think of one.
And did David say that this is because of what he's contributed to the arts?
Well, yeah, it's
what is that?
It's a connection to the city of Glasgow. Obviously, he's lived in he's from that area. Okay. His family came when he was very young from Rwanda. He's grown up in that sort of area. He's got a connection to Glasgow. For example, at the University of Portsmouth, when we were looking for ideas of people to give honorary doctorates to, or ask them if they'd like an honorary doctorate, they had to have a connection in some way to the city of Portsmouth in order to promote the city and promote the university, and to try and encourage others, because they are affiliated to a particular university, to go, oh, then I must go to that location. So it's all about trying to get more money and more students and to keep the numbers up. And it's
so
all,
I'm guessing
all that sorts of thing.
I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of crying when he picks up his diploma.
Well, Gatwa's, you're quite right, David. Gatwa's doctorate, it has been given for outstanding contribution to the arts. Believe it or not, I mean, it is a bit rich. And the University of Glasgow have added about everybody who's receiving these honorary doctorates, that they've all made a profound and positive impact within their professions and wider society. I find that an extraordinary statement to leverage against this individual in particular. You see, I know there are some Doctor Who fans who like what he did and really enjoy his doctor and go to meet him and all those sorts of things. And I'm not going to knock that. But the idea that Shooty Gatwa has in some way made some sort of positive impact on wider society, or any impact within his profession, for me is absolutely, it's wild, completely wild. This guy is just one of many diversity hires given the job for the most cynical and salacious of reasons, which I admit isn't his fault at all. But to me, and taking on board everything that David's just said, I know, continuing to give this man honorary doctorates just makes a mockery of the entire thing, because it's not Shooty Gatwa's first. Here he was not that long ago receiving an original honorary doctorate for exactly the same thing. This was the University of where was this? I can't remember where this was actually. Come to think of it, but it was
brickwork by the looks of it.
Yeah, no, this was the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. This was where he trained. So you think, well, if he was that good, why didn't they give him a fucking award at the time? Why didn't they give him a doctorate at the time? I don't begrudge the man any recognition, but the 2 doctorates, 1 for each glute. Come on, I find this a bit rich. He does join. He does join David Bradley. David Bradley's got 2 as well. Here he is collecting his from the University of Warwick back in 2012. So this is, just as David said, this is a common thing. Unsurprisingly, David Tennant has got one. He's got an honorary doctorate from somewhere or another. But I think the one that sticks in my mind the most, the one was even more outlandish, was back in 2018 when the entire cast and crew of the 2018 series, Matt Stevens, remember him? No, me neither. Matt Stevens.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Andy Pryor and Mandy Gilday were collecting their honorary doctorates, but they gave them out. They gave them out across the board simply for people who'd worked on that series. I think they might have even been given to them before the series aired as well. So it was completely academic whether it was actually going to be any good or not. So I don't put much store by any of this. And I'd like to think that it's kind of a noble thing, and I can see what it could be representative of. I wonder when they started doing this, David, because as I say, right now, I can't think of a single time, certainly any of these 4 I've ever heard say anything about it at the time or since. So I can't see who any of this serves other than to make a mockery again of Doctor Who, really.
I mean, they've done it for years, absolutely decades, and I actually suggested in my first year at Portsmouth that we give an honorary doctorate to John Pertwee. However, he sadly died and ruined, and that idea was sadly ruined because, of course, John served in the Navy in the Second World War in Portsmouth. And spoke about it in interviews near the time. It's purely a sort of like, from a university perspective, because I was heavily involved in the Students' Union during my time there, and actually sat on some of the committees that put forward these ideas. It's basically who's in the public eye that you can get. Okay, it's basically a sort of free advert in the press for the university. In a crude way, but then in another way, it's a sort of like, right, who can we recognize? Who can we sort of recognize? Because it's a nice thing, and they're often presented at graduate ceremonies where the honorary doctorate will give a speech, and it gets a polite clap. Rick Mayall's its speech is still available online and the most brilliant one I've seen. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for the guy, and it's a lovely thing to be given an honorary doctorate.
Do you think it'll make? Well, hang on. When you say you're happy for him, do you think it'll make any impact on his life or his career?
I don't know. The thing is, if we're going to question Shooty Gatwa, I would question Eddie Reader. I mean, what's she done? She's got a couple of hits with Fairground Attraction in 1988. One was perfect. It was #1 and used for an Asda commercial.
I suppose though, David, the difference would be that someone like Eddie Reader. I remember when Fairground Attraction were a unsigned band, and people used to talk about them. I remember them getting signed, it being a big deal. Yeah. And I know that she still tours like small venues. That they had a big career for a little while. And then she became the act that you would see at Ronnie Scott's. And now I know that she still tours on the... So you could say that 4 decades doing something, that's an achievement. Whereas this guy turned up for a year on Doctor Who, did a really shit job of it, and then fucked off. But then Eddie Reader, Fairground Attractions songs, love them or were either liked or loathed. I don't particularly like them. I'm not a Fairground Attraction guy, but I see why when somebody's been doing something for a long time. We could give an honorary directorate to the Proclaimers. We could, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm happy for the guy, and if he wants.
it doesn't. If they think that he's achieved a lot, then good luck.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well done.
But yeah, when you look at it, him and his family come over as refugees from Rwanda.
Yeah.
So they come from a terrible background on what was going on over there, and they've come over, and he's become one of the most iconic figures in British TV. As much as you might not like it, he's played the Doctor. So he's played the Doctor. So if you don't like it or not, that's still the thing. He still played the Doctor, so he's still one of the most iconic, and he's doing well in Hollywood. So he is proof that he's still doing bits in Hollywood. So you can still, he is an inspiration to like working class and people coming up to be like, look, it doesn't matter where you're from, you can still achieve whatever you want. Yeah. And the RCS in Scotland is David Tennant and Shooty come from there. Fun fact, my missus actually trained there as well. They've turned out more doctors than any other university apart from a medical school. So they must be doing something right as well there. So, and that's a great university.
You see, because I see exactly what you're saying. Of course I do. But from the outsider's perspective, to me, Charlotte, it looks as cheap and as silly as, oh, wouldn't it be funny to give Doctor Who a doctorate? It's kind of like the old knock knock, who's there? Doctor Who joke. It's kind of, it just seems very, very twee, and I do think it belittles. I think it belittles the doctorates, and I think it belittles the show. And whilst I do accept where you're coming from as regards Shooty's background, of course I do. He's not unique in that respect. There's a lot of people who've faced far greater hardship and have probably achieved a great deal more. So I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about that. But in some respects, I can't help it. I do begrudge this man 2 doctorates. I don't think one would be enough. I think if you keep giving them to this one guy, why this one guy? I can't help but think that this is another example of something, of a kind of something being politically expedient and to give over a certain effect. That I'm basically, it's the whole, he's the first black guy to play Doctor Who, basically, is what I'm saying. And I think that's patronising.
Here's the thing. The main thing of this is PR. Like, it's not that sort of worldly and thinking wise. On the surface, and a lot of this is, let's get a press release out with a load of famous names with our university in that press release. That's why
I said it was cynical, this. Charlotte. It is.
Yeah, because it's like a couple of weeks ago, like Arnie got one from like a university that was in Ireland. And I was just thinking, what?
It's the same thing.
Like,
Yeah, it's worse.
Exactly.
That's worse.
But that's my point. But it got it in the news. It got that university having that bit of time in the sun. And I think, I get what you're saying, Dan, completely. If you take it more as you try and isolate his run as the Doctor, and you link it to profound impact and all those buzzwords. If he just come off
3 seasons of barnstorming entertainment that had been extremely popular, that had inspired lots of children all over the country, not just to watch Doctor Who again, but to sort of to mobilise and to maybe take up, I don't know, sort of drama clubs after school, that kind of thing. I can understand it then, but to me, this looks like another thing that they've given it to him because of his identity rather than anything he's actually achieved.
I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's the identity stuff. I think it's just pure and simple. Whose name has been attached to a big show or a big role? I don't think even relevancy, because it's more just, if it was just him by himself getting it, then you could say, oh, they're really putting the boat out for him. But they've given it to a load of people, and he's on a list.
Well, in this instance, what I'm pointing to is the system. Why has this particular actor, associated very briefly with this particular role, got not just 1, but 2 doctorates in a really short period of time?
Do you know why? Honestly, I think there's another reason. I think they're trying to cover up his failure. I think because of, like you said, he didn't sort of have this absolute sort of overnight success thing with the part. He didn't make it sort of like a Tennant level again.
Even Tennant's only got 1.
I don't, because I think there's, all I'm saying is I think there's a lot of stuff going on with this. It's not as simple as just one thing. I think it's PR. It's the university trying to look good. It's them sort of latching on who's relevant, as in who's just been in a big show. Even if he's not done well in it, it's still a big show.
I can't help but notice. I can't help but notice the parallel between giving Chris Chibnall, for example, Chris Chibnall particularly. He'd already got a doctorate, an award for his actual work, for successful work. But the notion that they would give honorary doctorates to a group of people for being involved in the production of a series which hadn't even aired and would also prove to be extremely unsuccessful, to me, this does make a mockery of even the noblest of the intentions. Gary, what are your thoughts about this? Because am I being too harsh? Or,
no, I don't agree. You're being too harsh at all. I actually do think that there is. I think that there's a lot to
something about
David's point about the university doing it for their own purposes, for their own publicity purposes. But I personally think that, of course, there's virtue signaling, going on, and I honestly don't see how. I'm being serious. How in April, here we are, April 2026. I wouldn't consider Shooty Gatwa relevant. How is he relevant at this point?
I wouldn't consider any reader relevant.
But David, you could name 10 other people, and it would still be true.
Because
there's other people who are equally irrelevant now doesn't make him less.
I'm not a fan of anybody else that's listed, but I do think that when somebody spent decades working very successfully at something, they've proven something. Whereas with Shooty Gatwa, I think that of the very few people who are conscious of the fact that this man played Doctor Who, a lot of them have forgotten about it already, for better or worse. I don't think he's made any positive impact at all that I can see. The whole, you convinced me, David. You convinced me of the validity of honorary doctorates. Generally speaking, it's just this one, and particularly a second one, that I've got a problem with. It's starting to feel a little bit icky to me.
I don't have an issue with it at all. It's having been in that sort of situation where, I mean, for 2 years, I tried to get Tom Baker a bloody honorary doctorate for Portsmouth, but I couldn't get it through the committee because he didn't really have a connection to Portsmouth. I said, well, he was on telly in Portsmouth as Doctor Who. He played Sherlock Holmes, and that was written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and he lived in Portsmouth. He had his doctor's surgery there. He's played something in Dickens, and Dickens obviously was born in Portsmouth. So that's the lengths I went to try and get Tom Baker there. And at the end of the day, you're just looking for figures of whom maybe. And I'm sorry, I'll take that back, Freddie Reader. I was only joking about that. But I do. She has written one of my favourite songs of all time.
You see what I'm saying, though.
But the thing,
if someone's successful.
He's been successful. He was really successful in sex education, which was a huge hit with particularly a lot of young people. He's come from a really tough sort of childhood, and they moved to Glasgow. They were refugees. He's come through all that adversity. He's been a success, and it depends whether or not you agree if he was successful or not in Doctor Who. There are a lot of people who consider he was. The university may consider that.
David, I know nothing about Shooty Gatwa's background or upbringing. All I know is that he came to Britain as a very young child, as a refugee with his parents. But I know nothing about his background at all. What they did, how they lived, and any kind of advantages or disadvantages he would have had in life. So I offer no judgment on that at all, because I simply don't know anything about it. But
from a university's point of view, it's a brilliant success story. And
I think to assume that people who are refugees, that everybody who's come to this country is massively disadvantaged because they're a refugee, particularly 25, nearly 30 years ago, when there was far fewer of them, and whatever they were fleeing, there's always been legal immigration to this country. People come for a variety of reasons. I just don't I just don't necessarily buy the sympathy vote kind of thing either.
It's not a sympathy vote. It's a basically they've come to Glasgow under extreme hardship. And
that's what I mean. We don't know that. We don't know that, mate. We don't know that.
You don't leave a country on a whim unless it's extreme hardship.
Rwanda was well known to be a horrific place to be. Hence why there was a UN peacekeeping force to stop the people being absolutely completely trashed and murdered in the beds. So that's the sort of country they've come from.
I don't see how it follows. I'm not disagreeing with it, but I don't see how it follows. This guy, I don't see how it follows. No, David, I don't see how it follows that decades later that this guy deserves a doctorate because of that. It just doesn't wash with me at all.
It's not that. It's just basically saying.
All right, let's take some comments from the live chat.
That's your start in life, and however that your start in life wasn't as good as other people. But then you've had great success in sex education. You've been in the Barbie movie. You're on Hollywood. You're in the West End. You're a Glasgow boy, okay, even though it's adopted. You've been the star in ultimately one of the biggest science fiction series ever, and the prime BBC series. So actually, despite if we take away what people feel about his performance for one moment, the fact is he did get that role and he was in that role, and now he's not in that role, and he has achieved that role.
I see a man who is continually for however long, continually given things for what he is rather than who he is and how talented he is. And this doctorate is another shining example of it. That's how I view it. Again, it's the second. Cheers, Dave. We're going to take some comments in the live chat. Obviously, we feel very differently about this. Got some comments in the live chat from people all over the map with this, I would imagine. Matthew Pounder, rewarding mediocrity speaks volumes about where we are today. I mean, some of that isn't. David's quite right. Some of that is in the eye of the beholder. There's no two ways about that. There were people who loved what he did. Perhaps there are people on staff at the university that loved it too. So I suppose that's fair enough. Shooty's agent, according to Deep Thought 42, says Shooty's agent probably goes out soliciting for these awards. That's not how it works. But it's an amusing thought, Luke, the idea that they would go phone around the unis. Have you got any spaces? But it doesn't work like that.
I think Russell has got an honorary degree, honorary doctorate down in. I think it's University. It's not University. It's not Swansea Uni. I think it's Trinity St David. I think it is. So I think Russell has even got one. So I think I might have one somewhere. You never know. Maybe one day.
That's sort of my point, and that is the problem with the whole wider system. Dan, you are right that you get people who go to 3 years or more, dependent on what they're studying. You have to do the hard graft. You have to do all the studying and the hours, and then a whole plethora of celebs for different reasons in different fields just seem to get given. Like I said, it's honorary, but it's still being given something from a university. And I think that's more of the general sort of issue a little bit with this. And I think what you add on to, everybody's got a different idea of, do those people deserve it? Or have what they've done outside been enough to sort of say, oh yeah, it's honorary, but it's sort of still in the same field in a way, even if, like I said, it has got that honorary at the beginning.
Yeah, I felt a little like that at the start of our conversation, but David sort of convinced me about honorary doctorates and their kind of validity. I've been won over by that.
I think that's sort of that's the problem generally with the general conversation a bit around this. It's sort of there's lots of different perspectives, but I don't think I'd looked at it quite like that.
Thank you as always, Charlotte. More next time. Who knows what will be on the view screen? But you're happy to welcome you aboard as always. Take care. Good night. We'll speak to you soon.
Good night, everybody.
Bye bye. What else have we got? Matthew Pounder. We accepted his asylum appeal, and then all he does is criticise our country. Well, Shooty's again, Shooty has. I don't think Shooty's been that vocal about politics. I think this is somewhat unfair. But obviously, Shooty Gatwa has his politics like anybody else does, and he has expressed some of that in certain ways. And if we can process that how we will. But I think the idea that Shooty Gatwa is out there criticising Great Britain all the time, I don't think that's fair. I think he's actually, in all fairness, I think he's been economical with how he feels about things. I think he understood the job externally from the show, and I think he's kept it down quite a lot compared to some. But obviously, whether that'll remain, I don't know. All for PR for both the university and Shooty Gatwa. Awards like this are just fake. Well, again, they're not fake, but it seems that they serve a purpose, which is what David was saying, and I've got to accept that does make a sort of sense, even if it looks like a bit of a circus. And I don't know. It seems that graduates, David, do you think that graduates enjoy this side to university life, or are they offended by the notion that other people just get what they have to work hard for? Because this is another narrative we see a lot. Like, why should they get this when other people have to work 5 or 6 years? Is that something that's not how
Not at
students
all. I'm a
feel?
graduate. I used to love seeing who they'd decided on to have an honorary doctorate. It used to amuse me greatly as to whether or not the speech would be good or not. As an undergraduate, you have and when you graduate, you get a certificate, you get a proper degree. You're allowed to put the titles after your name or the letters after your name. If you study for a PhD, like a good friend of mine is at the moment, he's got his Viva coming up again, and he has worked really hard. And an honorary doctorate, I don't believe you can put the doctor before your name because it's only an honorary thing. But for a PhD, you do get to call yourself doctor. So it's more likely it's like an ambassadorial role, so to speak. And yes, it does drum up a lot of PR for the university, and that would be a cynical viewpoint. To say that they do it for PR purposes as
Could
well.
it be, though, David, that I've just realised that I heard word the other day of my son's graduation. My youngest son will be graduating finally in a couple of months' time. And I thought, oh, maybe that's why they announced them now. It's kind of like announcing where the student hall is going to be. It's sort of like to give people that push before the final push between now when they hand in their final sort of projects, dissertations, whatever they are, as if to say, you've got this to look forward to. This person is going to be there. That person is going to be there.
Yeah.
Is that probably part of it as well? That if not incentive, then it's the kind of, this is an example of how we're going to be pushing the boat out because Patrick Stewart's going to be there, or whoever, name whoever you like. Looking through the comments, there's lots from Matt Pott. He's had everything handed to him, says Matt Pott, up early, our real-life time traveller. Always good to see you there, mate. Thank you. And deep thought, I don't agree with David. He really needed to have achieved more. Otherwise, the honorary degree just looks laughable and pointless. It's the second one it's the fact that he's got too deep thought. That's the point for me where I think, okay, this is looking a bit fishy. We've got
the one is from his old university.
Sorry about that.
Again, if somebody graduates from something, it's understandable, and then they achieve. Just as David said,
it's like Tennant got it from the same uni.
Well, yeah, it's like with this guy. He's our what's the word they use? Alum. It's like
alumni.
We're proud of this person. We're proud of this person. To me, that makes perfect sense. It's when they pop up. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Ulster. That's the maddest one I think I've heard so far.
Well, that's probably because I think he was training for a Mr. Universe sort of competition in Ulster once.
Gotcha.
And he met a girl in the street, and she said, "Oh, I bet you can't put me on my shoulder." And then he did, and there was a picture taken of it. And years later, he met the same lady again. I mean, that is probably the most tenuous link possible. But then, if you're graduating at that ceremony and you hear that in a couple of weeks, if your son's university says, "Oh, by the way, Sir Patrick Stewart has been given an honorary doctorate," that people will be thinking, "Oh, brilliant! Sir Patrick Stewart's going to," or "Oh no, Sir Patrick Stewart's going to be speaking at the graduation ceremony," and it will be relevant to the art that they're in. So it has to be dramatic arts for Shooty. It's not like welding or engineering.
It being an old Arnie's speech, that would just be the best thing in the world.
I would love to have seen that. I think we got some bizarre mathematician.
Luke, has this actually happened yet?
It was March 30th. I just checked it then. It's the most bizarre thing in the world.
Okay, we'll have to get that clip. We'll have to get that clip and watch it later. And we've got this one here from Lord Thoth. Honorary doctorates should be given to men and women who have spent a lifetime donating their time to the arts and sciences, sacrificing everything to further those disciplines, not some DEI award. I'm not saying it was definitely a case of DEI, but I think it has that aroma about it. And I suppose when you give an honorary doctorate to somebody under a particular age, maybe that could be also a marker of that too. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
We had a boring mathematician who'd worked in academia all their life, okay, and were at my graduation ceremony. It was the most boring speech ever, and so dull. I wish they could have given it. I wish they could have given it to Joe Jackson, who at least could have sung, different for girls or something like that. Or stepping out, but the thing is, it's done. It's meant to go. It's a lot about publicity. It's about raising the publicity of the university. So, who can we get that's a bit of a star? Okay, and you can debate till the cows come home. How successful or not successful do you think he is, and all this and that. But the thing is, he is a Hollywood actor.
I'm trying not to let that cloud my judgment. I mean, but from the you see, my argument would be that for the moment, Hollywood, I think you'd struggle to find anybody who'd know who he was.
You know what this made me think of, honestly? It was about 2 years ago now. The Time magazine named him, and I'm not piling on. I'm more piling on the culture that produces this, not Shooty Gatwa in particular, but. It was 2 years ago now. The Time magazine named him one of the 100 next generation leaders. Who was shaping the future of television. How's that working out?
I mean, he's got 4 films and TV shows in post production, so pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, somebody likes him because they keep casting him. So, so if they keep getting cast.
I'm getting more suspicious about Shooty Gatwa's entire career, to tell you the truth. I mean, maybe I'm getting more cynical. I'm a graduate, says Tony Farrell. I have no problems with honorary degrees if a person has done something worthwhile. And obviously that is just as, I can't argue with that, just as David says, that is in the eye of the beholder. Pulled out of the Eurovision thing, but has time for this. But we don't. Well, that's a somewhat of a different prospect. I think anybody. I mean, we know his reasons. We know his reasons for that. It's a totally different argument. He's a background character, says Matt. I don't think Hollywood know that Shooty Gatwa exists. Whether he's filling out. The part that he played in The Roses. Wasn't he like the guy who ran a shop, or like I don't know? I haven't seen any of the things. It's unfair of me. It's unfair of me to say. Bob, please. We respect our live chat. You guys respect us. That's how it works, Bob James. Thank you for your comment. I'll stick around, but please tone it down a touch. They're basically showing us that honorary doctorates are meaningless for a PR stunt. Only to give someone something, giving to someone who hasn't achieved much yet. There we go. Look, this isn't the first in Doctor Who. There are lots of people tenuously involved with Doctor Who have them as well. Kylie Minogue has an honorary doctorate. So does Letitia Wright.
She should be so lucky.
It was God. No. Terrible. Letitia Wright, who was in Face the Raven, went on to appear in the MCU in the Black Panther movies, didn't she? And there's Mark Gatiss with his honorary doctorate too, and John Cleese being given an honorary doctorate from the University of Bath. So this is pretty commonplace, and for various different reasons. Kylie's was concerned with her if you remember, Kylie is a cancer survivor, and so her doctorate was specifically related to that, and through how she went through that whole process, how she talked about it, the example that she set, and the work that she's done in that field since in a charitable domain, I suppose. Also, there's this guy. Now, this is Colin. This is a neighbour of yours, isn't it, David? So
absolutely, good man he is. Lovely
so
Colin McPherson, fellow Lincoln supporter.
Remind us who he is and where we would have seen him in Doctor Who.
Colin McFarlane, and he's been all over the place. He's been in Sleep No More. He has been in Torchwood. He has been, oh my goodness me, he has been in The War Between the Land and Sea, that epic. He has been in Batman. He's been in Judge John Deed.
What Batman was he in?
I don't know. I'm not a fan of Batman, but
he's in The Dark Knight. He gets killed by the Joker.
Thank you.
He's the mayor with the glass. He drinks the glass as poison.
All right.
I think.
He was in Judge John. Yeah, he was Judge John Deed. He was in the Fast Show. He's a lovely, lovely bloke. He's actually suffering with prostate cancer at the moment as well. And he's campaigning for better screening for prostate cancer. And he's a lovely, lovely man. Really lovely man. You could not meet a nicer gentleman.
I love the expression on his face here when he was receiving his honorary degree.
Did Lincoln University give him that? I hope so. Yeah, good.
So here he is with a cutout Dalek and TARDIS. Thinking, I was only in it for 5 minutes. What's going on? But he's a fun actor. I thought he was terrific in The War Between. I was really, really sad when he was bumped off. Kylie has achieved so much, says Deep Thought. That's not a supportive argument for Shooty Gatwa. Well, Kylie's was in regard to a specific matter, which I imagine that she was she'd rather have not gone through that. Would be my educated guess. Bob, no comments.
Bob, give me a
grow up. Yeah, and various comments too about all those other honorary doctorates. Shooty Gatwa, yeah, congratulations, Shooty. Look, he looks fairly reasonably happy about it. So Shooty Gatwa will receive his honorary doctorate from the University of Glasgow at a ceremony on the 17th of June. His second honorary doctorate. So yeah, let us know what you think, whether you're a graduate or not. What do you think that the award is? The doctorate award. See what I mean? It seems like in my head, I'm seeing this as some sort of award of nothingness. But the doctorate is for the. So he's labelled a doctor of the university, which sounds like, from David's explanation of it, kind of a glorified mascot, really. But they've got to wear it for life, essentially. So Shooty Gatwa is a doctor of the university for life. But we want to know what you think. That's really, really boring. So we want to know what you think Shooty Gatwa should actually have received his doctorate for. And are you a student at the University of Glasgow? Will you be there on the 17th? I don't know if Shooty's going to be there because he is in training. He is also going. So this is on the.
So this might be a Dr. Light ceremony.
No, they have to accept it in person. They have to accept it in person.
Could be because he's going for the. He's going for. Let me get this right. He's going for the Guinness World Record for twerking. That's the second week of July. So he's obviously in training.
Are you joking?
He's obviously in training. Well, it'd be quite intensive training for that. I'm not quite sure. I'm still not entirely sure what twerking is. But that's so obviously best of luck with that. Whether he'll be able to make both dates, David, I couldn't possibly
Is that
say.
True or is that a joke?
I'll tell you later. So we want to know what you think Shooty Gatwa should receive his doctorate for there in the comments section. Have fun with that, and maybe we'll send some of the best ones over to Shooty himself. So keep them clean if you can. Okay, we're next. He's in the live chat. Let's go on a mission with Doctor Who.
Hello, I'm Philip Roy playing the Doctor in the Doctor Who fan film Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. I've been on quite an adventure, and this is most definitely the Type 40 podcast.
Kids, remember, never pour petrol on a lit barbecue. Okay.
Oh God, Shooty Gatwa, Dr. Shooty Gatwa. How's that going down there in the live chat? Not particularly well, I have to say, but it's been a choppy few years, so I think it's prejudice is sort of understandable. Really, it got to the point where I was somebody who was open to him being good in Doctor Who. I think most people know that. By the end, I was sort of glad to see the back of him, really. But there we are. Okay, so thank you everybody for the live chat. Oh, Bob's not happy. Never mind, Bob. Yes, grow up, mate.
They've not announced Jodie's honorary doctorate yet.
Oh dear.
I love Jodie.
Standing contribution to the advancement of knee-awareness. That's an early one there from Gary.
Well, you said you wanted an idea about what he could get a degree in. That's
orthopedic awareness. Look after those knees, kids.
That's right.
I like it.
My knees are gone, and I'm 31, so yeah. I can't lie down on my stomach. My back has gone now. I'm getting old. It's terrible, isn't it? It's awful.
For the hard of thinking at the back, freedom of speech nothing to do with somebody being abusive and insulting towards people in the live chat. We may be here doing this publicly, but we don't do it to receive that any kind of abuse whatsoever. So as for our friend Bob James there, don't let the door hit you on the way out, my friend. What a great conversation. What a great show so far. I loved it. Question is, where next and what next? Is anything going to be announced? That's what everybody wants to know. Or are we going to see cobwebs all over this console room and all up and down those railings? I don't know. I suppose time will tell. We'll be taking your comments as always. We'll be here with you for the duration when news eventually comes. Gary, how do you think the 2026 is going now? We're a third in.
I think it's. I wish I had my magic 8-ball. It would say like not enough information. I know David likes to use the term the silly season. I think we're just getting started on the silly season.
Couldn't agree more. Luke, how are you feeling about things right now? I mean, obviously we've heard nothing. People want to know, don't they? I mean, it's understandable that, in all fairness, I what we said earlier on about the special could be filmed anywhere between now and September, October time. It is understandable, isn't it, that people are sort of anxious and they'd like to know if they remain engaged with the social medias in that way. It's sort of understandable that they'd like to know what's happening or the shape of it.
Yeah, I just thought, how's it going? I was going to say, I got 2 new guinea pigs. This is the best thing ever, called Ferris and Genie. I'm having a great time. Forgotten about Doctor Who. I'm watching Caves of Androzani from season 21. So I'm having a good time. We've got Dalek's Master Plan. So when they do best reviews of the year for the episodes, it'll probably be Dalek's Master Plan. I don't. No news is a bit weird considering they just announced it's like, oh, we're doing a Christmas special, then just nothing, then absolutely nothing. So you can see why fans are a bit antsy and wanting to know answers. Which are we entitled to it? Probably not. They're at the end of the day, BBC and Bad Wolf got to do what they've got to do. If actors, Billy Piper's on Wednesday now for however long possible, Tennant's on whatever as long as possible if he's coming back. So we probably won't know, or we don't need to know anything. If it's already prepped and ready to go, then they don't need to be like, yep, well, we're doing this and doing this and doing this. At the end of the day, it's just a job. A job's a job.
It's priced, and it's precisely balanced as well, isn't it? Between kind of a reason to know, an investment, and that's straying over into entitlement. And to be fair, Doctor Who fans, we can, and I include myself in this, I'm guilty of this too, we can be somewhat entitled, I think, David. We've just got to sort of wait it out, haven't we? I'm not particularly looking forward to it, but I haven't lost that sort of fellow feeling for other Doctor Who fans to not realise that other people are getting irritated by the lack of noise, I suppose, coming out of Bad Wolf or the BBC.
It doesn't bother me, really. We've had a very productive year so far. We've had the season 21 box set, as Luke says. I'm yet to watch an Escape Room, but Luke has told me I must watch the Escape Room, and I'm looking forward to watching Sarah, Janet, and Peter on the boat trip. On Luke's recommendation too. We've had 2 missing episodes that we thought we would never actually get from the story that's least likely that we were going to get, which has already been transmitted and we've seen on via the iPlayer, and that's fantastic. My football team have won promotion. The cricket season started, and everything is the weather looks like it's improving slightly. So the nights are getting shorter with respect to darkness. And, I quite like the idea that we'll get it when we'll get it. Because one thing that we've not had for a long time in the world anymore, everything has to be quite instant. Everything has to be like yesterday. Everything has to be, we must have it now. And I like the idea that we're going to get a press release and it's going to drop at the most random, surprised time. And do you know, I'm quite excited about that, because it means that if we know everything that's going to happen with the show, then it becomes a little bit dull, and quite it's like occasionally when a box set of a new Blu-ray is announced, we have no idea when it's going to be, and it just drops and everything just goes, wah, and I quite like the idea of the Christmas special just dropping like that randomly.
For the last month, I think fandom collectively has been in a really good place because we've been unified in our love and admiration for these 2 amazing episodes, not only the miracle of their return, but just their quality. And that unified everybody. And I almost don't want like divisive nonsense, like whatever Russell's going to stick his hand in, to come along and like ruin that. So I want to coast in this kind of like floating along, appreciating like the best of what Who can be. I want that to continue for a little while longer before we're dragged back to reality of whatever kind of nonsense he's going to do.
Well, we've got the TV movie coming out next month as well.
Yes, there you go. That will continue. I think that will continue the place where we are right now. That'll kind of push that along for a while.
That'll drag us back, won't it, by the scruff of the neck. A bit like this, get pulled back to 1996. Another happy place for one night only, of course. Let us know your thoughts about all of that and everything that is coming in the remainder of 2026, such as it is. And we'll do our best, of course, to take you with us on our own flight of fancy here. Let us know what you think of it all, though. Instagram and X, as always, at Type 40 Doctor Who. Steam into the Type 40 Facebook group and join in with the various discussions and debates going on over there. Lots of fan art on display, celebrations of our favourite and not so favourite stories and actors and writers and directors and eras and everything else, just as you'd expect. Or you can leave us any kind of message at all, any kind of feedback whatsoever, respectfully worded feedback. Thank you, Bob. A SpeakPipe link is in the description for all of that. But this is where we talk about all things Doctor Who, and long may that continue, whether it's the classic series, the new series, all new Doctor Who. What happened to that? You've got to laugh, haven't you? You've got to laugh. We'll get where we're going in good time. I think, David, you're quite right. You're quite right. We just have to sort of bide our time, make our own amusement in the time in between, and see what happens. Yeah. Thank you, as always, to Charlotte Shields for her insight and her never-ending well of patience, it seems, for our nonsense. And you'll no doubt see her again next time. All those comments in the live chat too. Thank you very much. We've got this one from Caden Collins. Why have they not given Paul McGann another chance? Here we go again. Why have they not given Paul McGann another chance as the Doctor? I'm sure fans would welcome that. Than only having a mini episode of Big Finish. Stop wheeling Tennant out all the time. Again, it's people who are identifiable with the brand, though. And this is what I was saying about Shooty Gatwa earlier on. Sadly, for the bulk of the British public, Paul McGann, it's that bloke from Withnail and I. It's the guy who was in Harbour City or any one of a number of roles where he made a serious impact. It's quite the career that Paul McGann's had. A lot of the general public forget that he's Doctor Who or that he was Doctor Who because it was a momentary thing. As I know that's heresy to a lot of us, but that's how the general public see it. And David,
but Caden, I want to say to Caden, over the next month, we'll be shoveling a lot of adulation on McGann as soon as Luke said, when we get closer to the release of the TV movie.
Cannot wait. Make sure you're subscribed and you like the video. Unlike it if you like. It's all the same to us. And subscribe to the channel. You can check out the Type 40 podcast across all major podcatchers or our home feed at type40.podbean.com. Another chance to hear our discussion with Tim Burrows there when we were in the eye of the storm of the exciting return of those 2 missing episodes. That's there, as well as our McGannuary special. You got an enhanced video edition of that here on this very channel, Caden Collins too. So go and check that out and you'll see what we think about Paul McGann and his extraordinary contribution to Doctor Who over the last 30 years, despite being that one-nighter, so to speak, in the nicest possible way. Get yourself caught up on previous Type 40 lives. Of course, they're in the playlist as ever. 200 and how many? Over 280 of them to enjoy over and over again to your heart's content. That's it. That's it for another one. Until the next time. Okay. David, congratulations again on, hang on, was it a football team or a rugby team, mate? Oh, or a cricket team. What was it?
Football. Association football. Yes. That's where the term soccer comes from.
I'll remember eventually, but I'm stoked for you. I know what this means to football fans. We're long suffering in the Midlands with several sides underperforming over several decades. So from seeing family members suffer, I understand what this means to people. So we're delighted to see you so delighted. And can't wait to catch up until next time with whatever's gone on in other sports that I don't understand. But for the time being, I hope you've enjoyed your week.
I have, and can I just make it clear that I do like Eddie Reader. I was just being devil's advocate.
Eddie Reader.
For that purpose.
Eddie Reader sounds like a milkman.
Yeah, she does. Patience of Angels was.
You're not going to get sued. You're not.
Patience of Angels is one of my all-time favourite songs that she did.
There'll be lots of people, David, who listening to this will think, "Who the fuck is Eddie Reader?" And that amuses me and scares me at the same time. Yeah. One of them, I'm sure, is on this panel. Ever heard of Eddie Reader, Luke?
No.
Is he missing anything, David?
From the solo artist, yes. From Fairground Attraction, no. She did that. You probably remember an Asda advert where it has to be perfect. A really irritating song that was spent a couple of weeks at number 1 in 1988, and you weren't alive then, so that doesn't.
The sign is not. I got to redo the sign. Sorry, I got to redo the sign. Sorry, Gary.
I
vaguely recognise her. Oh, she's in Manchester.
Icon.
There you go.
She's in Manchester in October. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Eddie Reader's a woman? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's what it sounds like, a milkman from Scunthorpe or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Who knows which pop stars from the past will be debating on the next edition of Type 40 Live. The only way to find out is to make sure you don't miss it here every Thursday from 7:30 p.m. As always, no party lines, no beefs, no bullshit, but taking your comments, your rants, and your respectful raves too. All opinions welcome as ever. And thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Gary, as well. the Diamond Cap has done you good service.
Well, I knew we were going to be talking about of course. I dragged this out when I'm not exactly sure what we'll be talking about, but we're going to be talking about, the greatness of Who. I'm sorry I dropped out a little bit. I think the University of Glasgow cut my internet connection, which is why I dropped out.
Spies everywhere, Gary. They have spies everywhere.
Never trust the Scottish.
Oh, dear me.
Mighty Chop Army got you. Yeah.
Let's quit while we're ahead, everybody, as we race towards another weekend. Thank you, everybody on the panel, and to those in the live chat too, wherever you've been watching or listening along. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. Have a fabulous weekend. Lots to think on, isn't there, from that one? But take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.